The Lord looked at He Xinjiu coldly. Just follow Shengzun.
He's so noisy.
He Xinjiu, forget it.
Bah.
A pig's nose in a big green onion. He Xinjiu rolled her eyes and said to Buttface, Buttface, follow me. This guy was afraid that Shengzun would not return to the palace. If he left Buttface here alone, he would definitely die, so it was better to take him away. Shengzun frowned indiscernibly, but he did not say anything and walked out of the temple. After walking for a short while, He Xinjiu said, Lord, are we going to ride swords? Are we going to walk? Shengzun looked at her as if she was an idiot. I'm going to the library in the palace. Do I need to ride swords? He Xinjiu, fuck.
You lunatic.
Why did you call her to the library? If she had known that this lunatic was going to the library, she would have obediently read the storybook in the temple. However, this fellow's eyes suddenly lit up. There might be a good storybook in the Yen clan's library, so there was no harm in going to take a look. Therefore, this fellow said to Buttface, who was behind him, It's none of your business. Go back to the temple. If anyone makes things difficult for you, tell them my name and scare them to death. Buttface was dumbfounded. He thought to himself, telling them your name would probably kill them faster, right? Thinking of this, he quickly ran back to the temple, afraid that he would run into Princess Wang Yu's people. He Xinjiu touched her nose in embarrassment and followed behind Shengzun. Everyone in the palace was stunned. Oh my god, Shengzun actually came out of the temple? Everyone consciously kneeled on the ground, extremely pious. He Xinjiu pursed her lips. What was there to be afraid of about this lunatic? If she didn't still want to use him to return to the immortal Yuan continent, she would have killed him in a minute. Meng Yanshou was so angry that he was amused. Where did she get this confidence from? She even wanted to kill that person? That person could easily turn her into ashes with a wave of his hand. However, that person seemed to be much weaker than before. Could it be that she was injured? However, even if she was much weaker, it would still be a piece of cake for her to kill He Xinjiu. This little girl really overestimated herself. How would the nightmare beast know that He Xinjiu was purely playing around with herself? Of course, she knew that she could not defeat Shengzun. Otherwise, why would she compromise like this? When Emperor Yan heard his subordinate report that Shengzun had come out of the sacred hall, he hurried over. Shengzun, what are your orders? What do you need me to do? Emperor Yan asked in fear and trepidation. Shengzun stopped but didn't say anything. Instead, he glanced at He Xinjiu, who was behind him. He Xinjiu immediately understood and said with a smug look, Our Shengzun wants to go to the library to take a look. Your Majesty, please send someone to lead the way for us. Emperor Yan hurriedly nodded his head and muttered in his heart, This red and green match has really caught the Lord's eye. He even brought her to the library? Emperor Yan was afraid that others would offend the Lord, so he asked Shengzun to accompany him. Shengzun had no choice but to lead the way carefully. Shengzun felt that the distance from the sacred palace to the library was so long. His clothes were all wet. Shengzun's pressure was too frightening. Finally, they arrived at the Yen clan's imperial palace's library. He Xinjiu pondered in her heart. When the Yen clan left the Dark Continent, they should have taken a lot of books with them. Could there be any books that Shengzun would be interested in? General Manager Ji let the Lord and He Xinjiu into the library in fear and trepidation. He Xinjiu sized them up. The library of the Yen clan's imperial palace wasn't small, but there were pitifully few books. Most likely, the books from back then had been brought to the immortal Yuan continent. He Xinjiu sized them up as she wondered what this crazy lord was looking for in this library. Shengzun? Is there a book that he needs here? Just as He Xinjiu was wondering, Shengzun picked up a book and sat down on the chair next to him to read. He Xinjiu was stunned. Could it be that this crazy lord did not have any goal and was just here to read to pass the time? He Xinjiu secretly observed for a while. Seeing that Shengzun was concentrating on reading, she also began to pick and choose. This guy specially picked some strange stories and other books to read. When he saw the contents of one of the books, his eyes immediately lit up. Thousand-leaf golden-grayed lotus. The transformation pill only lacked this herb. He did not expect that the Dark Continent actually had a 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus. He Xinjiu took a closer look. The contents of the book only briefly introduced the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus and its effects. At the end of the book, she wrote, although the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus is only a low-grade heaven-grade lotus, it is extremely rare. It is said that there are 1,000-leaf golden grade lotuses growing in the fallen god abyss. He Xinjiu was stunned. Fallen god abyss. The deranged Holy Lord had read a book a few days ago called Strange Records of the Fallen God Abyss. She wondered if Xingzun would go there. If he did, she could get some lotus seeds of the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus. Just as Xingzun was thinking about it, he heard the Lord say with slight disdain, "How can there be such a vulgar book in the library of the Nightmare Race's imperial palace?" As he said that, a book was thrown not far away from He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu subconsciously stretched her neck and took a look. Her eyes immediately lit up when she saw a few big words written on the cover of the book, 72 male concubines of the domineering empress.
Io.
Initially, she did not have much hope. She thought that there would not be such a storybook in the palace library. She did not expect that there would really be one. This fellow glanced at the Lord and saw that the Lord was looking down at the book. This fellow quietly picked up the storybook, then deliberately hid in a corner and began to read it happily. Xingzun looked at He Xinjiu with a smile on his face. Needless to say, although the spiritual power of this nightmare race was a little inferior, the standard of this storybook was still pretty good. After He Xinjiu finished reading the script, she found that there were several books on the ground beside the Lord. Apparently, they were all despised. They were all scripts that He Xinjiu liked. Xingzun. He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and walked over to pick up the scripts on the ground. When she was about to turn around and read happily, she heard the Lord say in a low voice, "Stop." He Xinjiu's heart sank and she said nonchalantly, "Xingzun, since you don't want to read them, I'll put them back for you. I don't think there should be such a vulgar book in the library of the palace, so I'm going to destroy it. I remember that there's another one that was thrown to your side. Hand it over," the Lord said coldly. He Xinjiu rolled her eyes and said, "Xingzun, you are absolutely right. It's true that these vulgar books should be destroyed, but you have a body of 10,000 gold. It's a waste to ask you to destroy these books. I'll do it for you." He Xinjiu felt that it had been almost a century before Xingzun said coldly, "That's fine. There are still a lot of them over there. Put them away and destroy them when you go out." "All right, don't worry. I promise not to miss a single book." He Xinjiu smiled like a flower as she ran in the direction that Xingzun was pointing at. Xingzun looked at He Xinjiu's back, which was as happy as a rabbit. The corners of his mouth curled up as he continued to read the book in his hand. He Xinjiu was like a little mouse that had fallen into a rice vat. She felt like she was about to faint from the sudden happiness. There were many storybooks that she liked. This guy kept collecting them into his storage ring. He had already thought of a countermeasure. If the Lord asked her to destroy them, she would destroy the storybooks in the storage ring. Anyway, that lunatic wouldn't read them carefully. She was too smart. After collecting the storytelling book, He Xinjiu hid behind a bookshelf and started to read it happily. In the evening, after they left the library, He Xinjiu was worried that the Lord would mention the storytelling book. After all, she couldn't bear to destroy the storytelling book that she had collected before. However, the Lord seemed to have forgotten about it and didn't mention it. Instead, he said, "We will leave the royal palace of Yan clan tomorrow. You should make some preparations." He Xinjiu nodded hurriedly and ran back to her room, afraid that the Lord would mention Xingzun's storybook. The next day, after breakfast, the Lord summoned his sword and soared into the sky. He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and said, "Buttface, ride your sword and fly with me." Buttface asked in confusion, "Little fairy, don't you have a chopping board? Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up. Otherwise, we won't be able to catch up." He Xinjiu wasn't sure what the Lord meant, so she thought it was better not to expose her identity. He Xinjiu could ride her sword by herself, But this guy was used to sitting on a chopping board. His sword riding skills were terrible, and he was lazy. Buttface had to call out his sword, and then he flew into the air with He Xingjiu, chasing after the lord in front of Shengzun. Shengzun turned around and saw Buttface and He Xingjiu on the flying sword. He frowned and his face darkened. Buttface and He Xingjiu, who were whispering to each other, suddenly felt the flying sword tremble violently and fall to the ground. Many onlookers gathered below Shengzun, who was flying on the flying sword with an infatuated look on their faces. They didn't expect that the flying sword behind Shengzun would fall to the ground. They were all shocked.
IL.
What the hell are those two at the back? Why did they fall from the sky? Isn't it simple? They must have been convinced by Shengzun's charm, so they forgot how to ride a sword. Those two are really stupid. This is the first time I've seen someone fall from a flying sword. He Xingjiu, who was bitten by a dog, gnashed her teeth in anger. She didn't believe that Buttface could have an accident while riding a sword. It must be the work of that crazy Shengzun. Although he didn't fall, it was too damn embarrassing. Crazy, just you wait. It's never too late for little Gio to take revenge. Well, see. Buttface wanted to cry, but he had no tears. He was too ashamed to see anyone fall from a flying sword. However, the two of them did not have the time to be sad because the lord was almost gone. If they did not catch up, they would be left behind by Shengzun. Therefore, Buttface once again rode his sword and quickly chased after Shengzun. He Xingjiu stared at Shengzun's back and cursed nonstop. Of course, Shengzun did not make a sound. While he was cursing, he realized that his body had moved from Buttface's flying sword to Shengzun's flying sword. This guy's heart sank. Could he have been discovered? He Xingjiu realized that her worries were unnecessary because the lord did not say anything. It seemed that he only asked her to change her flying tool. At first, she did not feel anything, but as time passed, she felt a little uncomfortable. Because the sword of the lord was not particularly broad, the distance between the two was very close. She could even feel the hot breath of the lord brushing past her ear. She felt inexplicably ambiguous. Well, Shengzun, I'd better go with Buttface. I won't trouble you. He Xingjiu said. Shengzun just looked at her coldly. Either stay here, or don't follow me. He Xingjiu felt that this sentence was very similar to the pretty boys die or get lost. Was there really such a similar person in this world? He Xingjiu's gaze fell on Shengzun's right hand. She would definitely find an opportunity to verify it. He Xingjiu had no choice but to continue to stay on Shengzun's flying sword. Buttface, who was behind them, looked at the back view of the two. He thought to himself, why does the Shengzun and the bad news bag look so compatible? Moreover, it seemed like they were a couple. His eyes must be playing tricks on him. The lord was probably just looking for a maid. Although the bad news bag was good-looking, she looked like an ordinary person now. How could the lord like her? After flying for half a day, He Xingjiu finally realized what was going on. Was she stupid? The chopping board was afraid of being exposed. She could totally summon a flying spiritual device. Therefore, Shengzun quickly said, My lord, it's too hard for you to ride the sword. Let's ride the flying spirit tool. Shengzun looked at her as if he was looking at an idiot. Flying spirit tools cannot fly in the dark continent. Otherwise, do you think I'm as stupid as you? He Xingjiu, fuck, I can't talk properly anymore. Crazy. He Xingjiu comforted herself and thought that it was a pig behind her. What could humans have with a pig? Yes, that's right, there was a pig behind her. He Xingjiu immediately began to imagine that the lord with a pig's head could not help but giggle. Shengzun frowned and asked coldly, What are you laughing at? Haha.
Haha.
Nothing, I just thought of something funny. It has nothing to do with you, haha. He Xingjiu laughed until she covered her stomach. The lord frowned even more. For some reason, he felt that He Xingjiu was laughing at him.
But what was so funny about him?
Buttface saw that the two of them were talking and laughing. For some reason, he felt that he was unnecessary. But for the sake of his life, it was better for him to follow them. Otherwise, Princess Wang Yu would not forgive him. After a series of self-hints, He Xinjiu immediately threw the uneasiness to the back of her mind. After all, she was only pretending to be a gigolo. As long as she was doing the right thing, she would not feel guilty. Therefore, this guy took out a spirit fruit and started munching on it. He leisurely enjoyed the scenery around him and treated it as a free ride on a sightseeing bus. Well, there was also a pig-headed driver behind him. Seeing He Xinjiu eating the fruit and enjoying the scenery, the Lord's eyes flashed with a faint light. The flying sword suddenly jolted. He Xinjiu was caught off guard and almost fell off the flying sword. She only felt her waist tighten, so she was hugged by the Lord. Shangzun. He Xinjiu's heart palpitated. Just when she was about to break free, the Lord had already let go of her hand and said coldly, "You're really stupid. Do you want to fall again?" Hearing the Lord's words, He Xinjiu did not take it to heart. After all, even though the Lord looked like a lunatic, at least he did not look like a coyote. However, in the following period of time, the flying sword would bump every once in a while. Every time, the Lord would reach out and grab her waist. Shangzun felt that something was wrong. She turned around and glared at Shangzun. "Shangzun, although I have a favor to ask of you, my heart belongs to someone else. Don't touch your claws everywhere, or else I'll be chopped off by you accidentally." Shangzun raised his eyebrows and sneered. "You're really overthinking things. I'm just afraid that you'll fall down. Since you're so suspicious, I won't care about you anymore." He Xinjiu saw that Shangzun's eyes did not have a trace of guilt. She was suspicious. Was she really thinking too much? Shangzun did not have any other intentions. Just as He Xinjiu was thinking about this, the flying sword started to shake again. This time, Shangzun did not make a move. He Xinjiu fell down from the flying sword sadly. He Xinjiu was about to summon the chopping board when the Shangzun's flying sword suddenly appeared beside her. Shangzun raised his hand and pulled her by her collar to pick her up. Shangzun did not say anything, he just snorted coldly. He Xinjiu felt a little guilty. Did she really blame him wrongly? However, this guy quickly reacted. Bullshit. He could control the flying sword so skillfully, how could he make the flying sword bounce frequently? What bad idea was he thinking? Yun Chujiu did not think that she had such a great charm to make the Lord fall in love with her. There must be a conspiracy. Thus, He Xinjiu's impression of Shangzun became even worse. She felt even more conflicted. She made up her mind that once she returned to the immortal Yuan continent, she would stay far away from him. The rest of the journey went smoothly. Shangzun was like a perfect statue, standing motionlessly behind Yun Chujiu. At first, He Xinjiu was still on guard, but when she saw that Shangzun didn't do anything else, she relaxed and took out a spirit fruit to continue chewing. However, it was fine at the beginning when she was on the flying sword. After standing for a long time, she was inevitably a little tired. He Xinjiu stretched her arms, legs, and waist. Just as she was about to take out her chopping board, Shangzun landed on the ground on his sword, followed by Buttface. They landed in a bustling town. He Xinjiu was puzzled. Why did this lunatic suddenly land? Was he looking for a place to eat? However, with his appearance, it was easy to cause a commotion, okay? As expected, almost in an instant, the entire street was filled with screams. Shangzun. Sheng Ziyuan is here. Oh my god. I'm going to faint from happiness. I actually saw a living Shangzun. Quick, hurry up and call the second and third girls over. Maybe Shangzun has taken a fancy to them. He Xinjiu's mouth twitched. These people were even more fanatic than hardcore fans. Wasn't he just a lunatic? Was there a need to be so excited? The Lord was obviously used to this kind of situation. As if he hadn't seen Shangzun, he stepped into a carriage store. He Xinjiu was puzzled. What was this Lord doing in a carriage store? I want 8 black-horned horses and 2 carriages, the best, Shangzun said lightly. The owner of the carriage shop was so excited that he could not speak. He quickly asked the shop assistant to bring out the best 8 black-horned horses and a luxurious carriage. The Lord glanced at He Xinjiu. "Pay up." Sheng Zun ordered He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu originally thought that the Lord had a conscience when he bought the carriage. Her impression of Sheng Zun had improved a little. She did not expect him to ask her to pay up now. Although He Xinjiu was unwilling, she did not dare to disobey him. She could only take out the nightmare stone to pay the bill. However, when this fellow boarded the carriage, she suddenly felt that spending money was worth it. The interior of the carriage was very spacious, and the interior was very comfortable. He Xinjiu rolled around inside the carriage. As expected, money was not wasted. It was still more comfortable to ride in the carriage. Just as this fellow was rolling around happily in the carriage, the curtain of the carriage was lifted. The Lord looked speechlessly at He Xinjiu, who was rolling around like a ball. When He Xinjiu saw the Lord, she sat up embarrassedly. Lord, weren't you sitting outside with Buttface? Why did you come in?" Sheng Zun asked. The Lord looked at her coldly. "This is my carriage. If I want to sit outside, I'll sit outside. If I want to sit inside, I'll sit inside. Do you have a problem with that? Your carriage? How shameless. She was the one who paid for it, all right? This was her carriage." Unfortunately, Sheng Zun only dared to curse in his heart. He laughed dryly and said, "Of course I don't have any objections. I'm just asking casually." Sheng Zun curled his lips and said, "It's better for girls not to be casual, or else." Sheng Zun did not continue, but it was obvious that he did not say anything nice after that. He Xinjiu was furious. She felt that she had not been scolded like this for a long time. It seemed that when she first met the gigolo, she was often scolded by the gigolo. She did not expect to be scolded by Sheng Zun until she wanted to vomit blood. She really wanted to strangle this crazy Sheng Zun to death. Damn it, it was most likely that whoever called him Sheng Zun was not a good person. Just as He Xinjiu was complaining, Sheng Zun pressed a groove on the carriage, and a tea table slowly popped out from the carriage wall. The Lord took out a pot of tea, a teacup, and a plate of pastries from a storage ring. Then, he leaned against the wall of the carriage and slowly sipped on the tea. He Xinjiu pursed her lips.
Bah.
Why are you pretending to be a big garlic? Isn't drinking water to quench your thirst? Sipping what's there to taste? However, the pastries seemed to be quite delicious. It seemed like she had never eaten pastries like that before. Of course, although this guy was greedy, he still had a backbone. He took out a cushion made by himself from his storage ring and leaned against it. Then, he closed his eyes to rest. The Lord glanced at He Xinjiu and muttered to himself, "I wanted to let her taste tea with Sheng Zun, but since she fell asleep, let's forget about it." He Xinjiu jumped up. As she got up in a hurry, she bumped her head into the carriage. Fortunately, the carriage was soft, or else this guy would have hit a big bump. "I didn't fall asleep. Do you want to taste tea? I'm good at the tea ceremony." He Xinjiu moved to the side of the tea table with a smile. Sheng Zun didn't know if he was frightened by He Xinjiu. He took a sip of tea and coughed twice. Then he said, "Since you're good at the tea ceremony, show me. If you perform well, I'll treat you well." He Xinjiu glanced at the plate of pastries on the coffee table and said with a smile, "Of course I can perform the tea ceremony, but I'm a little hungry now." Sheng Zun said, "Let's eat some pastries to satisfy our hunger first. Then we can perform." He Xinjiu was waiting for this sentence. She picked up a piece of pastries and started eating. The taste of the pastries was naturally good. He Xinjiu felt a little thirsty after eating 2 pieces, so she took out a teacup, poured a cup of tea, and sipped it. Sheng Zun's mouth twitched, but he didn't say anything. As He Xinjiu drank, her expression became a little serious. She was greedy and indeed thick-skinned, but she would only let her guard down in front of a gigolo. But why would she let her guard down in front of Sheng Zun when she knew she should be wary of him? He Xinjiu raised her head and looked at Sheng Zun. Sheng Zun did not expect He Xinjiu to look at him so suddenly. There was a flash of panic in his eyes. Unfortunately, he was too fast and He Xinjiu could not catch him. He Xinjiu did not see anything wrong with Sheng Zun's eyes. She looked at Sheng Zun's lips. However, she only felt that they were similar to Di Biming's lips, but she was not sure. Although this guy had kissed Di Biming many times, his eyes were closed every time he was kissed. Therefore, this guy had never looked at Di Biming's lips in detail. He Xinjiu saw that the Lord was looking at her with raised eyebrows, so she could only withdraw her gaze and take a big sip of tea embarrassedly. Sheng Zun. The Lord raised his eyebrows and leaned forward. Why are you looking at me like that? Don't tell me you have fallen in love with me?
Uffed.
He Xinjiu did not waste a single drop of the tea in her mouth. She sprayed it on Sheng Zun's face, and the water dripped down his silver mask. He Xinjiu seemed to have seen black smoke rising from Sheng Zun's head, and the temperature in the carriage instantly dropped a lot. Even Buttface, who was driving outside, shivered, and the 8 black-horned horses instantly turned to the side. He Xinjiu, who was in the carriage, felt guilty. I'm sorry. It's too hot in this carriage. It'll go out and cool down. After saying that, He Xinjiu rushed out of the carriage and sat beside Buttface. Seeing He Xinjiu's guilty look, Buttface knew that this troublemaker had caused trouble again. He asked in a low voice, Little fairy, what happened? Why is it suddenly so cold? Did you make the Lord angry again? He Xinjiu glared at him. Drive well. Stop talking nonsense. Buttface. After rebuking Buttface, He Xinjiu rolled her eyes and returned to the car. When the Lord saw He Xinjiu come in, the anger in his eyes was enough to burn He Xinjiu to ashes. He Xinjiu took out a handkerchief from her storage ring and said, Sheng Zun, what happened? Sheng Zun, I'm really sorry. It's all my fault. Let me help you wipe it off. After saying that, He Xinjiu went to wipe the mask of Sheng Zun. A trace of treachery flashed in his eyes. He took off this crazy mask while he was wiping the mask so that she could know whether the Lord was a gigolo or not. Sheng Zun narrowed his eyes and raised his eyebrows, but he did not stop Yin Qijiu. He Xinjiu wiped the mask on Sheng Zun's face and found a sad thing. The mask seemed to be born on Sheng Zun's face, and it was impossible to take it off. If you continue to wipe it, my mask will be torn by you, Sheng Zun said with a hint of mockery. He Xinjiu withdrew her hand in embarrassment. When she saw Sheng Zun's right hand on the coffee table, she immediately grabbed it and said, You have tea on your hand, right? Let me help you wipe it. The Lord subconsciously wanted to pull his hand back, but He Xinjiu firmly pressed down on Sheng Zun's right hand with both hands. Sheng Zun's pupils contracted for a moment, and then his whole body relaxed. You want to wipe my hands? I remember that during the banquet, you secretly touched my hand, and now you're openly doing it? If you want to touch them, just say it. I'll let you touch them. Why do you have to find such a clumsy excuse? I didn't even touch a drop of water on my hands. He Xinjiu, you're so shameless. Who wants to touch you? This guy was so angry that he would have let go of her hands if an ordinary girl was told to do so by Sheng Zun. However, He Xinjiu's skin was unusually thick. She said with a smile, Sheng Zun, although your hand is not wet, it is still good to wipe it. It will taste good if you wipe it clean. Sheng Zun looked at the obvious water stains on the plate of pastries, and his mouth twitched. You can eat the pastries yourself. You don't have to make excuses. I know you want to take advantage of me. Do whatever you want. He Xinjiu really wanted to scold Sheng Zun, but she was in a hurry to prove Sheng Zun's identity, so she pretended not to hear Sheng Zun's words and looked at Sheng Zun's right palm impatiently. However, strangely, she found that Sheng Zun's right palm didn't even have any palm prints or fingerprints, let alone horizontal lines. He Xinjiu thought Sheng Zun was wearing gloves, so she rubbed her hand against Sheng Zun's, but she found that there was still no change.
What?
Can I touch it? Do you still need to use so much force? Do you want to look at your left hand again? I feel that your left hand has more texture than your right hand, Sheng Zun said with a smile. He Xinjiu. She was now certain that the big-tailed wolf in front of her was not a gigolo. A gigolo would not say such shameless words. He Xinjiu threw the handkerchief on the coffee table angrily and then left the carriage. Shungzun looked down at his right hand. A broken mark appeared on it. He curled his lips and shouted to the outside, "Aren't you going to perform the tea ceremony?" "I'm not in the mood." "Since you're not in the mood, get off the car." "I'm not in the mood to take you back to the immortal Yuan continent." Shungzun counted 1, 2. "Shungzun, I'm just kidding. I'll clean up the tea table first, and then I'll perform the tea ceremony for you," He Xinjiu said with a smile. Although He Xinjiu wanted to strangle this lunatic in front of her to death, she decided to endure it in order to return to the immortal Yuan continent. Go Jian could endure it even if he had to endure it, so what if she performed a tea ceremony? It was really nothing. Damn it, she really wanted to strangle this pretentious bastard in front of her to death. He Xinjiu was focused on boiling water and making tea. Although the Lord was holding a book in his hand, his gaze was completely focused on He Xinjiu. For a moment, there was only the sound of bubbling water boiling in the carriage. "Lord, have a taste of my skills," He Xinjiu said proudly. Her skills were inherited from the wife of the hall master, so she felt that they were not bad. The Lord raised his teacup and drank a few mouthfuls, then nodded. "You are not too useless, you can barely drink it." He Xinjiu really wanted to shout at the Lord, "Damn it, spit it out for me." She was struck by lightning.
Boom.
A bolt of lightning struck the carriage. Buttface and the black-horned horses were scared out of their wits, but the bolt of lightning stopped less than 3 feet away from the carriage. After the carriage passed by, it struck the ground. He Xinjiu's face was filled with shock and astonishment, but her heart was bursting with joy. Oh my God! Once or twice was a coincidence. This was already the 3rd time. It was definitely not a coincidence. Could it be that she had unlocked a new skill? In the future, all she had to do was open her mouth and summon the heavenly lightning? This fellow could not wait to chant in his heart, "Baby heavenly lightning, quickly, quickly strike down. Chop it down towards that pretentious Shungzun, chop him to death." However, there was no movement at all. This fellow thought about it for a moment, and it seemed like what she said was that pretentious Shungzun would be struck by lightning. Thus, she fiercely shouted in her heart, "Pretentious Shungzun would be struck by lightning." There was still no reaction. He Xinjiu didn't give up. She shouted in her heart a few more times, but there was still no reaction. This fellow was so discouraged. It turned out that she was thinking too much. That's right. Xiao Hanio's innate instinct wasn't a crow, so where did she get a crow's mouth? Xiao Hanio in the spirit beast pouch, Tui. I'm not a crow, okay? I'm a black phoenix. He Xinjiu hung her head low for a while. She suddenly remembered that the Lord had said that if she performed well in the tea ceremony, she would not be mistreated. This fellow immediately became energetic. Damn it, this carriage and the black-horned horse had cost her a lot of nightmare stones. She could take this opportunity to blackmail them back. Therefore, Shungzun smiled like a flower. "Lord, you promised to give me a reward. What kind of reward is it?" "I've already given you a reward, which is to allow you to stay in the carriage. Otherwise, a maid like you should be sitting outside with Buttface," the Lord said with a smile as he leaned against the wall of the carriage. He Xinjiu, she really wanted to strangle this lunatic to death. He Xinjiu really wanted to splash the pot of boiling tea on Shungzun's face. It was too fucking bullying. She bought the carriage, he bought the black-horned horse, and even the coachman, Buttface, was under her command. In the end, it was this big-tailed wolf who showed mercy that she could stay in the carriage. Shungzun looked at He Xinjiu. He said indifferently, "What? I think you mean that you don't seem to be willing to stay in the carriage and prefer to stay outside? I don't like to force others. If you don't want to, no, I'm willing. I'm 100% willing. Come, continue drinking your tea," He Xinjiu said politely. "Burn you to death. Crazy. Why should she go outside? This was her carriage, hers." For a few days, He Xinjiu was so insulted by the Lord that she wanted to hit the wall. He Xinjiu did not feel that the black-hearted wolf in front of her had any similarities with Di Biming. The pretty boy was arrogant, but he was definitely not as black-bellied as this crazy. This guy was simply eating people without spitting out their bones. That morning, when He Xinjiu woke up, she saw the Lord looking at her with a faint smile on Sheng Zun's face. He Xinjiu's heart sank. What did this psycho mean? Did she talk nonsense last night? What did she say that she shouldn't have said? When He Xinjiu was washing up, she finally realized why the Lord had that expression on Sheng Zun's face. The effect of the transfiguration pill had reached its limit, and her appearance had already recovered. This fellow was a little flustered at first, but after thinking for a while, she thought, fuck, since it's already like this, I can do whatever I want. The Lord did not ask her why her appearance had changed. He just criticized her as usual, as if he felt that this was one of the great joys of life. He Xinjiu was still jumping up and down in anger at first, but she had already become numb to it. If you want to say it, just say it. Wasn't it just a little embarrassing? It's not like I've never been embarrassed before. I'm just shameless. Bite me. Humph. After walking for about half a month, there was nowhere to go. Sheng Zun, but face said carefully, there's a forest in front of us. The black-horned horse cannot enter. Sheng Zun got off the carriage and put the black-horned horse and the carriage into his storage ring. His movements were very natural. He Xinjiu curled her lips. Shameless. That was clearly her horse and her carriage. The Lord glanced at Yun Chuzhou. He was clearly in a good mood. It's forbidden to fly here. Let's walk. He Xinjiu and Buttface could only follow behind the Lord. He Xinjiu originally thought that they would encounter some nightmare beasts in the forest. However, they didn't even encounter a nightmare beast, let alone an attack. Sheng Zun blinked his eyes and had an epiphany. The demon beasts must have been scared away by Sheng Zun's mental pressure. Sheng Zun went up to Sheng Zun and asked, Sheng Zun, I want to interview you. Isn't it great to be invincible? Sheng Zun was stunned for a moment before he smiled bitterly. It would be great if you are invincible. Of course, if I were to compete with you, I would be invincible because you are too useless. He Xinjiu, damn it, if you don't talk back to me, will you die? However, this fellow was obviously numb to being talked back to. He then asked, where are we going now? Are we going to the fallen god abyss? Sheng Zun rarely did not talk back to her. He nodded and said, yes, but not us, but me. When we reach the vicinity of the fallen god abyss, you can wait outside. I will go in and get some things. I'll go too. I want to go in and look for the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus. I promise to be obedient and won't hinder you, He Xinjiu said in a flattering manner. Sheng Zun hesitated for a moment and said, all right, you can go in with me. However, you must listen to me. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. He Xinjiu thanked him profusely. That was great. With a 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus, she could refine the disguise pill. The forest was very big. After walking for 10 days, the three of them found that there was a large lake in front of them. It was azure blue and so beautiful that it made one's heart palpitate. He Xinjiu could not help but exclaim in admiration, it's so beautiful. Is this the fallen god abyss? I didn't expect that the name is not good, but the scenery is so beautiful. Just as He Xinjiu was sighing, the Lord said to Buttface, if you stand in the lake, the nightmare beasts will not attack you. Sheng Ziyuan said, if you stand in the lake, the nightmare beasts will not attack you. After saying that, the Lord grabbed He Xinjiu's hand and jumped into the lake. Just as He Xinjiu was about to break free from the Lord's hand, the Lord said in a low voice, if you want to die, you can let go of Sheng Zun. He Xinjiu immediately became obedient. It was no big deal. Yun Chuzhou quickly understood what the Lord meant by letting go of Sheng Zun if she wanted to die. In the middle of the lake was a huge whirlpool filled with wind blades. However, these wind blades could not pose any threat to Sheng Zun's spiritual energy shield. The two of them were sucked in by the huge suction force. After an unknown period of time, when He Xinjiu regained her sight, she found Sheng Zun lying beside her. She did not know whether he had fainted or fallen asleep, but he did not open his eyes. He Xingjiu panicked for some reason and reached out to push Xingzun. Hey, wake up.
What happened to you?
Xingzun did not wake up. Yun Chujio then realized that Xingzun's lips were pale and dry. Although his face could not be seen through the mask, he must be as pale as a piece of paper. What happened to him? Wasn't he awesome before? Yun Chujio called Xingzun a few more times, but Xingzun still showed no signs of waking up. He Xingjiu didn't dare to feed Xingzun any medicinal pills. It would be bad if it backfired. She didn't want to take the opportunity to kill Xingzun. After all, without Xingzun, she wouldn't be able to leave the fallen god abyss, and she wouldn't be able to return to the immortal Yuan continent. He Xingjiu looked around. Other than many spiritual plants that she had never seen before, this place seemed to be an ordinary valley. Was this the fallen god abyss? Just as He Xingjiu was looking around, she heard Xingzun make a soft sound. He seemed to be in great pain. She looked down and was surprised to find that Xingzun's body was covered in a layer of frost. The frost was getting stronger and stronger, almost forming a layer of solid ice.
Fuck.
What was going on? Could this crazy Xingzun be a spirit carved out of ice? While Yun Chujio was in a daze, Xingzun's body had already formed a layer of solid ice. This guy took out a rolling pin and started to hit the solid ice on Xingzun's body. This guy could not help but be secretly happy. This was similar to hitting a frozen fish. He Xingjiu suddenly frowned. Wasn't this Xingzun a fire spirit root? Why was he surrounded by solid ice? She picked up Xingzun's right hand and looked at it carefully.
There were still no patterns on it.
This guy sighed. Was he really not a gigolo? Although she thought that this Xingzun was too black-bellied. It didn't seem like Di Biming's personality at all, but her sixth sense told her that this person was Di Biming. Otherwise, she wouldn't feel at ease to be alone with a man in the carriage. He Xingjiu felt that she was about to become mentally ill. How could she prove that he was a gigolo? He Xingjiu looked at Xingzun's lips and had an idea. Fuck, wouldn't she know after a kiss? Although she was not sure what Di Biming's lips looked like, she still knew how to feel them. After all, she had kissed him countless times. Therefore, this guy leaned over to the face of Xingzun. At this moment, Xingzun opened his eyes. Hey Xingjiu, what should I do if I'm found out that I'm kissing a man? She was waiting online, and it was quite urgent. You actually took advantage of the situation and wanted to take advantage of me?
If you want to kiss me, just say it.
Why do you have to be so sneaky? Do you like this tone? Although Xingzun spoke weakly, his tone was still very annoying. He Xingjiu's thick skin that had been thick for thousands of years turned red. After some psychological preparation, she said, I don't want to kiss you. She said righteously, Bah. Who wants to kiss you? I want to see what's wrong with you. Why don't we observe you to confirm the diagnosis? By the way, what's wrong with you? Xingzun smiled bitterly. I didn't expect that my old wounds would recur at this critical moment. I'm afraid that we won't be able to live. I told you to stay on top, but you didn't. Now, do you regret it? Yun Chuju knocked the ice on Xingzun's body while saying, Why should I die? Even the god won't accept a disaster like me. However, according to you, is it very dangerous in here? Xingzun nodded with difficulty. Let's find a place to stay first. Otherwise, I will drag you down when we are in danger. Yun Chujiu had no choice but to carry Xingzun on her back and walk forward. Xingzun's body was so cold that He Xingjiu felt like she was carrying a huge block of ice on her back. It was not easy to find a cave. Yun Chujiu quickly lit a bonfire in the cave, hoping to slow down Xingzun's freezing speed. However, it was useless. Xingzun's body was still freezing. He Xingjiu knocked on the ground with the rolling pin as she asked the Lord, Aren't you a fire spiritual root? Can't you use your spiritual power to dissolve the ice?
Xingzun asked.
Xingzun did not answer Yun Chujiu's question. Instead, he said, If you will die here, what is your wish? Yun Chujiu glared at Xingzun. Ba 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 ba. I will not die. I still want to have a baby with my gigolo. I still want to find my Chi-Chi. Shengzun's eyes flashed with pain. What if your fiancé dies? Shut up. Yun Chuzhou hammered Shengzun with the rolling pin in her hand. The pretty boy will not die. You will die if he dies. Shengzun did not even have the strength to dodge, so he could only let He Xinjiu pound him. He sighed and said, I mean, if he dies, what will happen to you? If he dies, so be it. Do I have to die with him? He is not the only crooked tree in this world. I will find someone else to marry, but it is not easy to find a three-legged toad. There are plenty of people with 2 legs, He Xinjiu said indifferently. A hint of cunningness flashed in her lowered eyes. The Lord was instantly stunned. He looked at Yun Chuzhou with a complicated expression and said, Good, good, well said. He Xinjiu looked at Shengzun with a smile and said, I think you are quite good. Why don't I just make do with you? We are going to die anyway, so don't waste time. Come, let me help you take off your clothes. Shengzun's eyes flashed with anger. You are shameless. Shameless? I have more shameless things. Come, don't be shy. You're going to be frozen into ice anyway. Let me hug you. Maybe I will melt your ice with my passion. He Xinjiu went to untie Shengzun's clothes as she said that. Shengzun snorted in his heart. Little girl, I must force you to tell me the truth. I couldn't defeat you before, but now I have 100 ways to make you tell me the truth. Shengzun was obviously going to be frozen to death, but he was sweating profusely. Of course, his sweat turned into ice immediately. Shengzun saw that He Xinjiu was going to be serious, so he gritted his teeth and said, Stop. Stop? Why should I stop? I want to do something shameful with you now. Although it's inconvenient for you to wear this mask, it's okay. As long as you have a good figure, I don't mind. He Xinjiu said, and deliberately glanced there. Shengzun was so angry that the veins on his forehead popped up. Little Joe, stop. Little Joe? Io. You're calling me by my nickname? This means that you're still very willing. Come on. This fallen god abyss will be our new house. Today will be our wedding night. He Xinjiu stretched out her claws and began to untie Shengzun's clothes. As she did so, she said, Don't be nervous. My fiancé is a fool. He won't find out about us. Even if he does, since you're so powerful, just kill him. Anyway, I've been displeased with that arrogant guy for a long time. Shengzun roared angrily. Hey Dong, shut up.
Io.
Shengzun, you're really my lover. You even know my nickname? This is really fate. Let's hurry up and finish the job before you die. He Xinjiu said slyly. Shengzun sighed dejectedly. Little Jiu, stop fooling around. He Xinjiu stood up abruptly, her eyes reddened. Stop fooling around? Is it fun to play with me? Do you think it's fun to play with me as a fool? Do you think it's fun to play with me? What do you take me for? Shengzun immediately panicked. He gritted his teeth and said, Little Joe, this matter is indeed my fault. At the beginning, I was angry that you didn't listen to me and participated in the Yen clan's matter, so I planned to teach you a lesson. However, later on, I discovered that my old illness was showing signs of acting up, so I planned to hide it from you. After I brought you back to the immortal Yuan continent, I would find a reason to break up with you. This way, my death wouldn't make you too sad. Yun Chuzhou sneered. Hide it from me? Haven't you kept a lot of things from me? You lied to me in the name of my own good. Do you think I will accept your favor? Just wait for your death here. I don't want to see you for even a quarter of an hour. Shengzun said dejectedly, It's okay if you blame me, but this place is full of dangers. You should stay here. I will protect you no matter what.
Bah.
I don't care. He Xinjiu said angrily, and left the cave. Shengzun wanted to stop her, but his body was covered with a layer of ice and he couldn't move at all. Shengzun, who was also debeaming, was filled with regret and regret. He regretted that he shouldn't have been in a hurry to break another seal. If this seal hadn't been broken, his old illness wouldn't have flared up. He hated that up until now, only a small part of his seal had been removed. Many things were still confusing. He did not even know who his real enemy was. Now, he had dragged the person he loved into a dangerous situation. There was no way he could protect her. He simply did not deserve to be a man. If he had known that his old illness would flare up so quickly, he would have chased her away from the palace instead of calling her back. The ice on Di Biming's body was getting thicker and thicker. It was as if even his thoughts were frozen. In his daze, he saw Yun Chuzhou return. When Di Biming regained consciousness again, he realized that although his body was still very cold, the speed of the ice forming was much slower than before. His body was wrapped in countless layers of the nine-tailed fox's fur, just like a dumpling. There were several bonfires in the cave. One of the bonfires was still roasting meat, but there was no one there. Di Biming's heart stopped. Where was little Nine? Di Biming wanted to stand up, but he did not have any strength on his body. Furthermore, his body was wrapped in layers of fox fur. After struggling for a long time, he only managed to move forward a little. What was even more tragic was that because of his struggle, sparks splashed onto the nine-tailed fox's fur. Instantly, the cave was filled with the smell of burning. Di Biming had no spiritual power now. He could only watch as the flames began to spread rapidly. He smiled bitterly. Was this retribution? However, it was also good. If he died like this, he would not drag little Joe down. Just as Di Biming's thoughts were running wild, he was splashed with a few basins of water. Then, he heard Yun Chuzhou's angry voice. It's okay, if you want to die. Don't spoil my fox fur. It's very valuable. Little Joe, shut up. I don't want to talk to you now, and I don't want to listen to you, He Xinjiu said angrily. Little Joe, don't you understand human language? Shut up. Sigh, little Joe, I just want to tell you that the meat is burnt. Di Biming sighed and said. He Xinjiu then realized that the piece of roasted meat had turned into a piece of charcoal. There was no way to eat it. He Xinjiu glared fiercely at Di Biming. It's all your fault. Scram to the side. He Xinjiu said as she kicked Di Biming, and the pitiful one was kicked to the side like a ball. A certain someone was kicked so hard that he didn't even have a bit of temper. This was probably the retribution he got for bullying her a few days ago. He had brought this upon himself. After He Xinjiu kicked a certain someone away, she glared at him fiercely again, but she still cut off the fur that was burnt by the fire. This is all money. You have to compensate me. The carriage and the black-horned horse are also mine. He Xinjiu said angrily. Di Biming laughed bitterly. What's mine is all yours. Unfortunately, I don't have any spiritual power now, so I can't give it to you even if I wanted to. Just wait until I die and take the storage ring away. Everything inside is yours. He Xinjiu's eyes reddened. She bit her lips and said fiercely, You bastard. Di Biming was dumbfounded by the scolding. He was stingy and scolded him. Why was he scolded for giving all the money to her now? Yun Chuzhou kicked Di Biming a few more times and then ignored him. Little Joe, how did I offend you again? Di Biming asked tentatively. He Xinjiu acted as if she didn't hear him and didn't say anything. Little Joe, it's my fault for lying to you. You can hit or scold me if you want. He Xinjiu remained silent. Little Joe, I'll tell you what you want to know. Don't be angry. Pandy and Zero Vel. Calm. He Xinjiu turned her head angrily. What happened to the mask on your face? And how did your palm lines disappear? Aren't you an ice spirit root? How did you become a fire spirit root? The mask is an immortal artifact. Unless the person wants to take it off, no one can take it off. However, I don't have any spiritual power now, so I can't take it off. The disappearance of the palm print is just a small trick. If you want to learn it, I can teach you. As for the spiritual root, I have always had an ice spiritual root. The black flame is the fire of ice. When the ice spiritual root reaches a certain level, it can release the fire of ice. What about the Lord of the Nightmare race? He Xinjiu curled her lips. So all of this was because she was inexperienced? Shengzun thought. Damn it. She felt inexplicably ignorant. After I unsealed another layer of the seal, I gained some memories. I vaguely remember that I used to be the lord of the Yen clan, and there was something very important to me in the fallen god abyss. That's why I entered the dark continent from another entrance, Di Biming said. He Xinjiu frowned. If that's the case, why did you stay in the Yen clan's imperial palace for so long? Could it be that you were waiting for Princess Wang Yu to curry favor with you? Di Biming looked at He Xinjiu speechlessly. Little Jiu, is that idiot worthy of your jealousies? Pooey. Who's jealous of you? I'm just asking. Don't interrupt. Answer the question honestly. He Xinjiu shouted with a stern expression but a timid voice. The fallen god abyss only appears on certain days. Besides, I also wanted to search for information about Guaichao, but I found nothing. Although the Yen clan took away most of the books back then, there was still one floor below the library in the Imperial Palace, but most people didn't know about it. The goatskin scroll that I read before was found inside. Di Biming said. When He Xinjiu heard Di Biming mention the library, she thought of those storybooks. Her heart moved. Could it be that the gigolo purposely let her see those storybooks? Humph. He wanted to bribe her with a small favor? No way. Then what did you come to the fallen god abyss to get? He Xinjiu asked curiously. Di Biming smiled bitterly. I don't know what it is either. If I tell you, you might think that I'm fooling you. But because the seal has only been broken a small part of the time, many things only have a general outline or even a feeling. He Xinjiu looked at Di Biming in disdain. How are you going to retrieve something if you don't even know what it is? I think you are getting more and more stupid. A certain someone felt guilty and did not dare to retort even though he was being called stupid. Instead, he echoed, You are right. I am indeed getting more and more stupid. I should not have brought you to the fallen god abyss and dragged you down instead. When Yun Chujiu heard Di Biming's words, she moved closer to Di Biming and stared at him closely. She was getting closer and closer. A certain someone could even count how many eyelashes He Xinjiu had. A certain someone's heart palpitated. Could it be that little Jiu wanted to kiss him? Was she not angry anymore? The tip of a certain someone's ears could not help but turn red. A faint anticipation rose in his heart. Previously, he was afraid of being exposed and did not dare to have any thoughts. Now that the truth was out, he was naturally filled with joy to be able to kiss his sweetheart. Unexpectedly, He Xinjiu's target was clearly not his lips, but his neck. He Xinjiu bit the man's neck hard, and the man grimaced in pain. However, he felt guilty and could only grit his teeth and endure it. He even said, Bite. As long as you can vent your anger, it's fine. Just don't clench your teeth, or else my heart will ache. He Xinjiu, holy shit. The gigolos seemed to have become black-bellied after the seal was lifted this time. How could she continue biting him when he said that? He Xinjiu let go of her mouth and snorted coldly. Gigolo, I'm telling you seriously. Listen carefully. I'm not afraid of being implicated, and you shouldn't make decisions on my behalf. If you treat me as your fiancé, tell me everything and let me make my own decisions. Just because you think you're good to me doesn't mean you're good to me. You idiot. If a certain someone had heard He Xinjiu calling him a gigolo and an idiot, he would have exploded. But now, he felt guilty and could only say with a smile, You're right. Everything you say is right. It's all my fault. He Xinjiu, fuck. The gigolo who had unlocked a new skill seemed to be very difficult to deal with. Di Biming saw a wound on Yun Chujia's arm from the corner of his eye. Although the wound was no longer bleeding, he could still tell that it was cut by a sharp weapon not long ago. Di Biming's heart ached, and his voice trembled. Little Jiu, did you feed me your blood again? Humph. I was waiting for you to be my slave. Of course, I can't let you die so easily. He Xinjiu said stubbornly. Di Biming had 1,000 words in his heart, but he didn't know what to say. He just looked at Yun Chujiu with an expression. He Xinjiu felt a little uncomfortable under Di Biming's burning gaze. She changed the topic and said, You said it's very dangerous here. What exactly is the danger? Di Biming then retracted his gaze and said, I'm not too sure about the specific danger. In short, it's a very dangerous feeling. We should be careful. If we encounter danger, Di Biming originally wanted to say that if he encountered danger, he would not let Yun Chujio care about him. He would just run for his life. However, when he recalled what Yun Chujio said earlier, he swallowed the rest of his words. He changed his words. If you are in danger, you must be careful. Hei Xinju nodded and took out hot porridge from her storage ring and fed it to Di Biming. Of course, he did not forget to take revenge during the feeding process. You are so stupid. You can make porridge everywhere. Are you stupid? Do you know the etiquette of eating? Don't you know that you can't make a sound when you are eating porridge? What a waste. Although Hei Xinju scolded him harshly, her movements were very gentle. After feeding Di Biming the porridge, she casually ate some. The danger that the two of them expected did not come. It was just that at night, Di Biming's illness became more and more serious. Even though Yun Chujio forced him to drink some of her blood, it was still so cold that his lips turned blue, his body kept trembling. Little Jiao, you don't have to mind me, just endure it, it'll all be fine. Di Biming's teeth were chattering. It took him a lot of effort to finish a sentence. Hei Xinjiu was anxious. The fur of the nine-tailed fox should be the warmest thing in the world, yet it could not block the coldness in the gigolo's body. What should she do? Hei Xinjiu gritted her teeth. In her book, when she encountered such a situation, it seemed that women used the heat of their bodies to warm men. How about she give it a try? After all, she had the 10,000-year-old fire marrow in her body. Perhaps it could really make the gigolo feel better. Therefore, the guy began to take off his clothes, which were thrown to the ground one by one. Di Biming was so shocked that he could not even feel the coldness on his body anymore. Little Jiao, what are you going to do? Hei Xinjiu smiled sinisterly. What do you think? Of course, I'm going to take advantage of your situation and do something immoral. Beauty, come on, obey me. You don't do anything reckless. Unfortunately, Di Biming was now a fish on the chopping board. How could he escape from Hei Xinjiu's vicious hands? After being tormented by Hei Xinjiu, he was only left with his undergarments. Although Hei Xinjiu's words were smooth, she was still very shy in her heart. No matter how thick-skinned she was, she still had her face. Gritting her teeth, she mustered up her courage and hugged Di Biming. Di Biming's heart instantly beat like a drum. Now, let alone the cold, he might not even feel someone cutting his flesh with a knife. Hei Xinjiu's little heart also thumped nonstop, almost jumping out. For a moment, her mind was filled with scenes described in the storybook. Damn it, she couldn't think about it anymore. She was a pure and good child. The two of them didn't speak, but they felt like they were talking a lot. For a moment, the cave was filled with pink bubbles. As the night deepened, Di Biming's cold poison took effect even more violently. Yun Chujio felt like she was hugging a big ice cube. Her body began to freeze. Little Jiao, you let go of me, Di Biming said anxiously. Tui. If you say let go, then let go. Stay there obediently. I'm in charge now. Hei Xinjiu glared at Di Biming and said angrily. Di Biming felt pain and regret in his heart. For a moment, he wished that he could die so that he would not drag Yun Chujio down. The frost on Yun Chujio's body gradually turned into solid ice. Hei Xinjiu was going to shatter the solid ice on her body every once in a while. At this time, this guy was still in the mood to complain, "Pretty boy, don't you think it's convenient for me to eat ice-cold spiritual fruits in the future? This ice block is simply a sharp weapon to eliminate the heat." Di Biming's lips were livid. He could barely speak. He only blinked his eyes to indicate that he heard what Yun Chujio said. When Yun Chujio saw Di Biming's appearance, her heart ached. She lowered her head and covered Di Biming's lips, wanting to transmit her temperature to Di Biming. The moment Yun Chujio and Di Biming's lips touched, Hei Xinjiu felt as if something had jumped into her body from Di Biming's mouth and rushed towards her dantian. Hei Xinjiu was stunned. What the hell went to her dantian? While she was still in a daze, She was surprised to find that Di Biming's condition was obviously better. Could it be that the thing that caused the gigolo had jumped into her body? Di Biming also felt that something had jumped out of his body recently. The two of them stared at each other, feeling that this world was really wonderful. Di Biming was the first to react. "Little Jiao, quick, take a look inside and see what's going on." Yun Chujiao heard him and started to look inside. She saw that the Guai Chao in her dantian was holding something and chewing on it. Yun Chujiao did not see what it was, but it should be a living thing. Because it kept struggling, the Guai Chao's leaves tightly controlled it. In the end, it entered the Guai Chao's stomach. Yun Chujiao told Di Biming about what she saw. Di Biming did not speak for a long time. He thought that he would definitely die this time. He did not expect that there would be a turn for the better. However, it was clear that there was more than one in his body. Although his condition was better, it was still very cold. It was just that the hard ice had become thinner. Hei Xinjiu blinked her eyes. "Gigolo, come, let's continue. It'll help you get the rest out." Before Di Biming could react to what Hei Xinjiu meant, Hei Xinjiu pounced on him. She gnawed and bit him with all her might. Di Biming was like a little sheep now. He was no match for Hei Xinjiu, the big-tailed wolf. He could only be manipulated by her. However, the things in Di Biming's body might have already known that Hei Xinjiu was not to be trifled with, so the rest of them did not jump out. Hei Xinjiu touched her swollen lips and cursed, "Damn it. You actually learned how to be smart. It'll get you all out sooner or later. If you don't want to die, behave yourself. These are my men. If you continue to torment them, it'll kill you." Di Biming could not help but smile bitterly. It's useless to scold them. They won't listen to your threats. Before Di Biming could finish his words, he felt that his body had become much more comfortable. The layer of ice on his body had still turned into frost. Although he could not use his spiritual power, it was much better than before. Di Biming, it seemed that not only were evil spirits afraid of evil people, many things were afraid of evil people. Hei Xinjiu also noticed that Di Biming's condition had improved a lot. She suddenly did not know how to show off. "Haha, pretty boy, how is it? I asked if you are convinced. You still want to chase me away? And you don't want to bring me in? If it weren't for me, you would be dead? I'm your lucky star. Treat me well in the future, do you hear me? Little Joe, aren't you sleepy?"
Go to sleep.
"I'm sleepy." After saying that, Di Biming closed his eyes, because he had a premonition that if he didn't do that, Hei Xinjiu would definitely give him a long lecture. Hei Xinjiu curled her lips. Anyway, the pretty boy's little tail was in her hands, so she had plenty of time to deal with him. There was no hurry, there was still plenty of time in the future. Since Di Biming's condition was better, Hei Xinjiu put on her coat again and wrapped Di Biming in the nine-tailed fox's fur. Then, she yawned and fell asleep on the ground. As for the vigilance, Hei Xinjiu let out a few silly cubs and let them keep an eye on the outside. Meng Yanshou stared at Di Biming and Yun Chujiao with his red rabbit eyes. His heart was filled with curiosity. That black-hearted little girl's fiancé was really the Lord? Who would have thought that the Lord would take a fancy to this little girl? TSK, her taste was very unique. However, this little girl was also a little strange. Could she be the reincarnation of some big shot? Just as the nightmare beast was pondering over Hei Xinjiu, Xiao Hanio pointed at it with its short wings and said, "Curly hair, you're the youngest, so you're the only one on duty today. We're going to sleep." Meng Yanshou said the nightmare beast was so angry that it gritted its teeth. If it wasn't for the fact that its shell wasn't strong enough, it would have plucked this fat bird into a bald chicken no matter what. It was too infuriating. Xiao Hong and the red fox also glared at Meng Yanshou with the same hatred. How could a non-contract beast compete with them for the pet?
Tui. Dream on.
Meng Yanshou was a down-and-out phoenix that was inferior to a chicken. He could only lower his head and stand guard at the entrance of the cave. However, this guy also had a good way to kill time. Read the script. Meng Yanshou lay at the entrance of the cave and read the script while paying attention to the movements outside. As he watched, he became fascinated. By the time he realized that something was wrong, his entire body had been stomped into pieces. Meng Yanshou floated out from under its huge hooves and cried out, "Oh no! There's a monster! Damn it, this is the first time I've opened my shell. I'm so aggrieved." Yun Chujiu, Di Baiming, and Dumb Meng were awakened by the cries of Meng Yanshou. They saw that the entrance of the cave was tightly blocked. Apparently, the thing outside was too big, and only one leg had reached in. A fierce roar was heard. The nightmare beast floated to He Xinjia's side. "Master, quick, give me a powerful demonic beast to drive its shell. I want to take revenge." Meng Yanshou said. He Xinjiu glanced at it, and then released a violent boar. "This is the one with the highest spiritual power in my place. You can use this." He Xinjiu did not forget that the nightmare beast had said that if the Lord was her pretty boy, it would choose a boar to drive its shell. However, Meng Yanshou had said that if the Lord was her pretty boy, it would choose a boar to drive its shell. Meng Yanshou glanced at the violent boar and curled his lips. "I'd better choose a rabbit." Thus, Meng Yanshou once again turned into a windblade rabbit. The thing outside was obviously eager to enter, so it used its body to hit the hole, wanting to use brute force to expand the hole and then enter. Yun Chujiu curled her lips. "Are you the only one who's grown up? Release De Hua, and you'll be scared to death." Therefore, the thing released a group of piglets with spiritual power and pounced on the thing. The thing had probably never seen such a strange spiritual beast, so it subconsciously took a few steps back. He Xinjiu lay on the ground and looked out. It was a giant beast with a strange appearance. It looked like a cow but also like a tiger. It was probably an ancient demonic beast, which was why it was not recorded in the ancient books. Meng Yanshou said from the side, "I know this thing. This is a bull-lion beast. Although it was not a powerful creature in the ancient times, it is still very difficult to deal with outside now. Fortunately, it only has a strong body and does not have any spiritual attack methods." Meng Yanshou sized up Yun Chujiu and said proudly, "However, with your small body and those trash combined, you are not a match for the bull-lion beast. Do you need me to weave a dream for it?" Yun Chujiu glanced at Meng Yanshou and said, "Get lost and stay away. I think you are the most trash." Meng Yanshou was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Xiao Hanio and the others were gloating at the side. They deserved it. "You still want to pretend to be a big clove in front of Blackheart's master? I won't kill you." Meng Yanshou cursed in his heart. "You guys can keep gloating. Won't you still have to beg me to make a move later?" Humph. At this moment, He Xinjiu had already reached the entrance of the cave. Since the bull-lion beast didn't have any spiritual power attack methods, he wasn't afraid of being ambushed by it. The bull-lion beast looked at the few piglets with spiritual power on its legs with a look of confusion and disdain. Were humans so weak now? The spiritual power materialized was actually a pig? And a piglet? "Hey, you mixed breed of neither bull nor tiger. I'm warning you, get lost quickly, or else I'll kill you." He Xinjiu leaned against the entrance of the cave and said fiercely, "Bull-lion beast, half-breed? Wasn't it a half-breed for short?" This smelly girl's mouth was too mean. She simply cursed the beast without any swear words. She was a smelly girl at the 6th level of the Lingxian realm, and she actually threatened it? Was she crazy? When Yun Chujiu had just arrived at the Dark Continent, she had already adjusted the level of her spirit energy to the 6th level of the Lingxian realm. This guy was listless and evil. When it was time to show off, it was better to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Bull-lion beast. The bull-lion beast roared, and its eyes were full of disdain. Its long fur trembled, and the piglets of spiritual power fell to the ground one after another. They dimmed, as if they were going to dissipate at any moment. The bull-lion beast raised its leg and stepped on He Xinjiu, who jumped into the cave with a whoosh. It grinned at the bull-lion beast and said, "You hybrid, if you have the ability, why don't you come in? What's the use of growing so big? Trash.
Idiot."
The bull-lion beast was about to explode in anger. Its roar was deafening. The nightmare beast stared at the rabbit and curled its three-petal mouth. This little girl was simply courting death. If she hadn't angered the bull-lion beast, it would have been able to hold on for a little longer. Now that the bull-lion beast was enraged, perhaps the bull-lion beast wouldn't care about living or dying anymore and would directly bury them alive inside. HMPH, this little girl might come and beg it right away. When that time came, it would definitely taunt and ridicule her so that she would learn a lesson so that she would not have to teach it a lesson all the time. Di Biming looked at He Xinjiu with some worry, and He Xinjiu smiled at him. Beauty, don't worry, I will definitely protect you. Di Biming, if not for his guilt, Di Biming really wanted to teach the smug He Xinjiu a lesson. Unfortunately, it wasn't just a matter of guilt. Right now, he had the heart but not the strength. It was uncertain who would teach who a lesson. At this moment, the bull-lion beast outside the cave had gone mad with anger. Just as it was about to use the giant horn on its head to collapse the cave, it realized that its tail was being pulled by something. Its body couldn't help but retreat. The bull-lion beast turned around with a terrified expression. It saw a huge purple pig using its hooves to pull its tail. Its eyes were filled with disdain and ridicule. The bull-lion beast was a little dumbfounded. This thing was a spiritual beast? A huge purple pig? The pig had turned into a spirit? The two rabbit eyes of the nightmare beast, Meng Yanshou, were dumbfounded. Holy shit! No wonder the black-hearted little girl was fearless. Her spiritual beast was actually this thing? Although it was a little weak now, it would be a big deal in the future. No wonder the Lord and her son of bitch saw eye to eye with Xingzun. It seemed that this little girl was really not simple. Meng Yanshou decided to be obedient in the future. Whether it was the Lord or this little girl, it could not afford to offend them. If it was obedient, it might be able to return to its original form very soon. After the initial confusion, the bull-lion beast came back to its senses and shook its tail vigorously, trying to shake Da Hua off. But it didn't shake. This was awkward. The bull-lion beast couldn't shake Da Hua off, and it couldn't reach its tail, so it could only spin in circles and roar in anger. After a while, Da Hua dissipated. The bull-lion beast was instantly delighted. Haha. It almost forgot that although this damned giant pig was difficult to deal with, it was only a spiritual beast after all. It would disappear very soon. What was it afraid of? At this moment, a group of spiritual piglets pounced out from the cave. The bull-lion beast immediately vented its anger on these piglets, using its horns and hooves to step on them. The piglets with spiritual power quickly turned extremely dim. Before the bull-lion beast could be happy, its tail was grabbed by something again. The bull-lion beast turned around and saw that it was the giant purple pig again. What the hell was going on? Where did it come from? Obviously, the bull-lion beast had never seen such a strange transformation method of a spiritual power beast. Therefore, it was a little confused and did not know what to do. It even suspected that there was a person hiding behind it who specifically ambushed it. The bull-lion beast once again circled around in the same spot. It was so angry that it could not take it anymore. However, He Xinjiu just happened to be making sarcastic remarks at the entrance of the cave. Hey, hybrid breed, I told you were stupid. How could you not reach your own tail?
Come, kitten, show it.
Because the kitten was too weak, it did not have the opportunity to show off. After being called out, it naturally put in all its effort and played dozens of tricks with its tail. The bull-lion beast almost fainted from anger. Could it be the same as the kitten? Its body was so big, and its tail was so short. How could it possibly reach it? I'm not criticizing you. It's a hybrid breed. You said that you were eugenically bred. Why didn't you pick the merits to evolve? If you had a long tiger tail, wouldn't it be over? You are a classic case of eugenics and eugenics failure. Look at your ugly appearance. Look at your cow, nose and nose. They are simply too ugly. How about this? You can just kill yourself. Anyway, you are wasting the resources here, so you might as well make room for a good beast. The bull-lion beast was so angry that it roared and then fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth. It actually fainted out of anger. Meng Yanxi's rabbit eyes almost popped out.
IL.
This little girl made the bull-lion beast faint out of anger? He didn't know whether he should praise this little girl for her sharp tongue or blame this bull-lion beast for being too narrow-minded. The nightmare beast jumped in front of the bull-lion beast and kept releasing wind blades. Unfortunately, it was too weak and only cut off a lock of the bull-lion beast's fur. Just as the nightmare beast was about to blind the bull-lion beast, Yun Chuzhou stopped it. The pretty boy can't move now. He just happens to be lacking a mount. I think this hybrid is quite good. The pretty boy should be quite comfortable lying on it. Just as the nightmare beast was confused, it saw Yun Chuzhou forming a seal with her hands. She actually wanted to establish a temporary contract with the bull-lion beast. Just as the nightmare beast was about to persuade Yun Chuzhou to say that the spiritual sense of the ancient demon beast was strong and that it was not easy to tame it, it saw that Yun Chuzhou had already succeeded in forming a contract with Meng Yanxiu. The nightmare beast swallowed its saliva. Alright, a monster was indeed a monster. However, that was also true. Even though the ugly bird and those idiots were too weak to look at them directly when they grew up, they wouldn't be easily provoked. Since the little girl was able to establish a contract with them, it wasn't strange that she was able to establish a temporary contract with this bull-lion beast. The bull-lion beast woke up very quickly. It felt that it had nothing left to live for. Not only was the majestic ancient demon beast angered to the point of fainting, but it was actually signed into a temporary contract by this smelly human girl in a daze. It was simply the saddest bull-lion beast in history. There was no other one. Bull, you will be my mount from now on. Don't worry, when I leave this place, I will let you leave. I'm so sleepy you stand guard outside. I'm going to go in and sleep. Daniel? Although the bull-lion beast could not tell what was wrong with this name, how could it, a dignified bull-lion beast, be called such a lame name? It was simply hopeless. He Xinjiu yawned as she entered the cave. She hugged Di Biming's neck and kissed his lips. Little beauty, this young master has tamed the monster. Let's go back to sleep. Di Biming, endure. A man can bend and stretch. Black thing, just you wait. After a good night's sleep, the first thing He Xinjiu did when she woke up the next day was to tease a certain lord. Little beauty, did you sleep well last night? Were you mesmerized by my heroic bearing when I tamed the beast? Come, let me give you a sweet smell. He Xinjiu kissed Di Biming on the lips as she spoke and even bit him with her teeth. Di Biming's ears and neck turned red, even though he was shivering from the cold. No one knew if he was embarrassed or angry. Little Jiu, don't go too far. Go too far? Are you going too far? You played me so miserably. I didn't have the face to settle the score with you yesterday when I saw you half dead. And you said I went too far? Did I treat you as a maid? Did I shut you out of the door? Did I ask you to pour wine? I made you fall off the flying sword. Every time He Xinjiu asked a question, Di Biming's imposing manner would decrease by a bit. In the end, he did not dare to say another word.
Humph.
Pretty boy, let me tell you, there is cause and effect. This is the bitter fruit that you planted yourself. Even if you cry, you have to eat it. Come, beauty, let's have another fragrance. Di Biming was in pain, but also happy. On one hand, Yun Chuzhou kissing him was something that he could not wish for. However, on the other hand, he was a man. Being teased by his little wife, he simply did not want to live anymore. Meng Yanxiu used his claws to cover the mouth of Shengzun and snickered. This black-hearted little girl was really something. He did not expect the Lord to be so defeated. Could it be that the Lord liked the style of Shengzun? TSK, his taste was really different from the others. Meng Yanxiu was watching the show when he noticed the Lord glancing at him. Meng Yanxiu suddenly shivered. It was over. It was over. One misstep could lead to eternal hatred. The Lord would definitely not forgive Shengzun after he recovered. Meng Yanshou was so regretful that his intestines were turning green. He was using his life to watch the show. Meng Yanshou quickly thought of a way to remedy the situation. Therefore, when He Xinjiu wanted to tease Di Biming again, Meng Yanshou grinned and shouted, "Little fairy, shouldn't you interrogate that stupid bull?" Yun Chujiu slapped her thigh. Yes, it was time to get down to business. Meng Yanshou saw Yun Chujiu leaving the cave to interrogate the bull lion beast. He carefully approached Di Biming and said in a low voice, "Your Excellency, I was wrong. Please spare me." Di Biming snorted, "Let's see your performance in the future." Meng Yanshou immediately expressed its loyalty. "Your Excellency, don't worry. From now on, I will be with the little fairy, and my heart will be with you. You are the man I have been waiting for 10,000 years. I will be your beast in the future." Di Biming, get lost. Meng Yanshou said obsequiously, Good, good. Then I'll leave now. I'll help you keep an eye on the little fairy." Meng Yanshou heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, he had temporarily passed this hurdle. When Meng Yanshou reached the outside of the cave, Yun Chujiu was interrogating the bull lion beast. "Daniel, let me ask you, where is the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus in the fallen god abyss?" Yun Chujiu asked. Although the bull lion beast didn't think much of the name Daniel, it was at least much better than a hybrid breed, so it tacitly agreed. It thought for a while and said, "This god-perishing abyss is very big. My territory is only in the periphery of the god-perishing abyss. I've never dared to enter it, so I don't know where there is a 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus. However, I heard that there is a big lake in the center of the god-perishing abyss. Maybe there is a 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus there. However, the deeper you go, the more dangerous it is. I advise you not to go in." Yun Chujiu asked a few more questions and found that the bull lion beast didn't know anything. She had no choice but to return to the cave. He Xinjiu first kissed Di Biming's lips and then said casually, "Little beauty, I've asked the bull lion beast just now. It doesn't know anything about the situation inside. What should we do next?" Di Biming automatically filtered out the title of Little Beauty. He thought for a while and said, "The fallen god abyss will only appear for 2 months, and the exit is in the big lake inside. If we can't get out in 2 months, we don't know how long it will take for us to get out again. However, I don't have any spiritual power now, and it's difficult for me to walk. If we go in, I'm afraid that we will be doomed." He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and said, "It's okay. I can let Daniel carry you. Let's go to the territory next door and explore the way first. If it really doesn't work, we don't have to go in. Anyway, with the little beauty accompanying me, I'm willing to stay here for the rest of my life." Di Biming's heart warmed, and just when he was about to say something, He Xinjiu continued, "It's just because of Go Weiba that we can't have sex every day. It's such a pity. Otherwise, this young master will definitely satisfy the little beauty. It's not a problem for us to have sex dozens of times a day." Di Biming, do you think you're a lion? Dozens of times? No, it should be him who wants to have sex dozens of times. Fuck, I don't want to talk anymore. Di Biming's gloomy face was about to flare up when He Xinjiu leaned over and kissed him again. "Little beauty, I'll go out and arrange Daniel. Then we can set off." Di Biming was speechless as he looked at He Xinjiu's back. He gritted his teeth. Patience was a virtue. He had to endure it. He Xinjiu went outside and fixed a soft cushion on the back of the bull lion beast. Anyway, the bull lion beast was very big. Not to mention Di Biming, even 2 people lying side by side would not be a problem. After Yun Chujiu made the necessary arrangements, she returned to the cave and said slyly, "Little beauty, I have already prepared the transportation for you. I will carry you out now." Di Biming had already broken the jar and did whatever he wanted. Anyway, he had remembered every single stroke. It was not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Yun Chujiu saw that Di Biming was actually calm. This guy blinked his eyes and used his hands to support his body. He looked down at Di Biming and said, "Little beauty, Let's make out again before you come out of the cave, He Xinjiu said, and went to untie Di Biming's clothes. A certain someone could not stay calm anymore. Lil Jiu, stop! Di Biming stretched out his hand and grabbed He Xinjiu's claw with great effort. He Xinjiu blinked her eyes. Beauty, are you shy? How about this? If you take the initiative to kiss me, I'll spare you. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Di Biming's eyes were about to burst into flames, and he snorted coldly. I can't move my body. It's okay. I can just stay close to you. He Xinjiu pouted and moved closer to Di Biming's lips. Di Biming gritted his teeth. When he finally raised his head and was about to touch He Xinjiu's lips, He Xinjiu tilted her head and giggled. Little beauty, I'm just teasing you. You're really kissing me. You're so thick-skinned. Di Biming, He Xinjiu saw that Di Biming's head was starting to emit white smoke. This was because it was originally covered in frost, but Di Biming was so angry that the frost had turned into mist. This fellow knew when to stop and giggled. I'm just teasing you. Let's go, let's go. Although Di Biming was half-dead angry, he had no way to escape He Xinjiu's claws. He could only let He Xinjiu put him on the bull lion beast's back. The bull lion beast shivered from the cold. Although He Xinjiu put a soft cushion on its back and Di Biming still had the nine-tailed fox's fox skin, it still could not block the cold air from Di Biming's body. The bull lion beast thought, this person is too resistant to the cold, right? He did not die even though he was like this? What a pervert. Bull, let's go. I will help you take care of your mortal enemy. We will take over its territory, He Xinjiu said as she stood on the back of the bull with her hands on her hips. The bull lion beast did not make a sound. He thought to himself, just keep bragging. You will know how powerful you are when the time comes. The bull lion beast dashed forward quickly. Even so, it did not feel any bumps on the back of the bull. He Xinjiu hugged Di Biming and flirted with him from time to time. Suddenly, she felt refreshed and became the owner of the bull lion beast. Little beauty, come here and give me a sweet smell. Little beauty, give me a smile. Little beauty, your little hands are really pretty. Let me touch them. Meng Yanshou squatted behind him and stared at him with his rabbit eyes. He couldn't even close his 3 mouths. Io, this black-hearted little girl was simply courting death and trying to reach a new height. She was going to gloat. When that person recovered, he would definitely not let her off. However, these lines sounded pretty good. This daddy here would remember them first. He might be able to use them when he was trying to seduce his wife in the future. Meng Yanshou did not know that because of this misconception, this guy had been single for thousands of years and had been beaten up countless times by the lady as a second-rate bastard. A few hours later, the bull lion beast slowed down. It used its spiritual sense to say to Yun Chujiu, the territory of the Tun Tianhu is ahead. It's a female tiger, very fierce. I once chased my prey and accidentally entered its territory. I chased it for 3 days and 3 nights, and it was not easy for me to escape with my life. He Xinjiu felt an inexplicable sense of treachery and love from these words. A bull and a tigress? The tigress was still chasing after it? Could it be that the tigress had taken a fancy to this bull lion beast? Was it just that this bull lion beast had misunderstood? Oh my! If that was the case, she didn't mind being a matchmaker. After all, this was her old profession. She had helped millions of snow jade silkworms to pair up. Seeing He Xinjiu's eyes darting around, the nightmare beast knew that this fellow had no good intentions. Meng Yanshou was not afraid of He Xinjiu. He carefully reminded her, little fairy, like the bull lion beast, the heaven-devouring tiger only has brute force. It does not have any spiritual attack methods. However, it is much more agile than the bull lion beast. You have to be careful. Yun Chujiu nodded her head and instructed the bull lion beast to continue moving forward. The bull lion beast was obviously still fearful of being chased out the last time, so it did not walk very quickly. It kept looking around, afraid that the Tun Tianhu would appear from somewhere. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh. You can go ahead boldly. If it really comes out, it'll enlarge de Hua, and you can take care of it. The bull-lion beast thought about it and agreed. It now had helpers. Although that giant purple pig was detestable, with its help, it could still contend with that damn tigress. Thinking of this, the bull-lion beast had more confidence and sped up. At this moment, an earth-shaking tiger roar was heard in the distance. It was as if the earth trembled with it. The bull-lion beast immediately cowered and said with a trembling voice, We should go back. That tigress is too scary." Yun Chuzhou ignored it and stretched her neck to look into the distance. She saw an extremely large and colorful tiger walking over. Yun Chuzhou clicked her tongue in wonder. "Dinyo, this Tun Tianhu looks really good. If your child follows his mother in the future, he will definitely be very beautiful." The bull-lion beast stared at the cow with a dumbfounded expression. Was this little girl talking nonsense? It and that tiger child? What a joke. That's its enemy. It wants to eat its enemy. How could they have a child together? However, if it really followed the tigress, it could improve the breed of its offspring, especially this cow, nose, which were really ugly. The bull-lion beast was successfully led astray by He Xinju, so much so that it even forgot its fear. It looked at the fur of the Tun Tianhu with an infatuated gaze. If its child also had such a beautiful fur, how great would that be? The Tun Tianhu was also a little dumbfounded. Was there something wrong with that bull-lion beast? Why did it look at it with such a strange gaze? Did it have an eye disease? Also, why were there two people on its back? Also, what the hell was that rabbit behind it? A grade 1 demonic beast? How could a grade 1 demonic beast appear here? This was simply impossible. Just as Tun Tianhu was feeling suspicious, he heard the human girl on the bull-lion beast's back giggle and say, "Miss Hu, you're really beautiful. You're the most beautiful demonic beast I've ever seen." The few demonic beasts in the spiritual beast bag were instantly displeased. "Pa, what was so good-looking about a broken tiger? How could it be better looking than them?" The heaven-swallowing tiger was even more dumbfounded. What the hell was Miss Hu? The most beautiful demonic beast? This could be found. This little human girl still had good taste. "Miss Hu, I am here today to matchmake. Big Nyo has secretly liked you for a long time, but he didn't have the courage to confess, so he specially asked me to come here today to matchmake," He Xinjie said with a smile. When the bull-lion beast heard He Xinjie's words, he immediately knelt down on the ground, scaring the bull to death. He had a crush on this tigress? What kind of joke was this? Although the tigress was pretty, her life was still more important. Yun Chuzhou hugged Di Baiming, who was beside her, to prevent him from falling down. She said to Tun Tianhu with a smile, "Miss Hu, look, Daniel has knelt down to express his love for you. Can you consider it? After all, you guys could barely be considered as a type of demonic beast. Moreover, height is not a distance, age is not a difference. It is also possible to fall in love among different races. Moreover, you guys are old acquaintances. This can be considered as childhood sweethearts. If you guys are not together, it is simply impossible for the heavens to tolerate it. If you waste fate, you will be struck by lightning."
Boom.
A bolt of lightning struck Tun Tianhu's body. Tun Tianhu was struck dumb. What did it do wrong? Was it struck by lightning for no reason? Could it really be like what that little human girl said, because it wasted its fate with the bull-lion beast? The bull-lion beast's eyes immediately lit up. Heavens! Could it be that it and the tigress were really fated? Although this tigress was fierce, she was good-looking, so it was not unacceptable. Moreover, if the two of them got together, wouldn't their territory expand? It was really a good thing to kill two birds with one stone. He Xinzhou was also quite dumbfounded. She originally thought that the crow's mouth skill was her imagination, but she did not expect it to reappear in the martial arts world. It was just that this skill was sometimes effective and sometimes not. It was really a flaw in the beauty. For a moment, the scene was silent. Hei Shinjio was the first to regain her senses. She smiled and said, "Miss Hu, did you see it? You and Daniel are fated to be together. If you don't pretend to be together on another day, you can get married today. One bow to heaven and earth, two bows to the high hall. The ceremony is complete. You are now a legal couple. In the future, you must respect and love each other. Do you hear me?" Tun Tianhu and the bull lion beast were dumbfounded. What was that? You touched your upper and lower lips and kissed them, and they became husband and wife. Tun Tianhu roared angrily. It did not believe in this damn fate. It did not want to marry that stupid bull. And this human little girl must be playing with it. It must eat her today. Tun Tianhu suddenly leaped forward and went straight for the bull lion beast's neck. The bull lion beast jumped up in fright and started running. It said that the female tiger was not to be trifled with, but the little girl refused to believe it and insisted on being a matchmaker. This was great. The female tiger was completely enraged. It was going to die. Hei Shinju narrowed her eyes. She was definitely going to be the matchmaker today. This fellow shook his hand and released several piglets with spiritual power. Although the Tun Tianhu was a little surprised, it did not think much in its rage. It used its tail and claws to slap the piglets with spiritual power. Then, De Hua appeared lazily. The Tun Tianhu retreated in shock. How could there be such a big spiritual pig? And it was purple in color? Seeing De Hua appear, the bull lion beast finally had some confidence. Yun Chujiu carried Di Baiming and jumped off the bull lion beast's back. She said with a smile, "Dinyo, now is the time to show off your arrogance.
Go."
I have high hopes for you." The bull lion beast had been holding back its anger for a long time, but it could not beat the heaven-swallowing tiger. Now, with De Hua's help, it suddenly had confidence. It roared and rushed towards the heaven-swallowing tiger. Although Tun Tianhe's spiritual power was higher than that of the bull lion beast, there was still De Hua who was causing trouble. Moreover, De Hua had fully grasped the essence of Hei Xinjiu and specifically attacked Tun Tianhu. Soon, Tun Tianhu lost its ability to resist and was pinned to the ground by the bull lion beast. As long as the bull lion beast used its horn, it could pierce through Tun Tianhe's throat, but it hesitated. The little girl was right. It had been with this female tiger for a long time and could be considered a childhood friend. It really could not bear to kill it just like that. Although this tigress was a little fierce and would occasionally chase after her to eat her, she didn't eat her after all, did she? It wouldn't be bad if she gave birth to a litter of little tigers. Hei Xinjiu was very shrewd. First, she established a temporary contract with Tun Tianhu. Then, she said, "Arhu, look at how tenacious Daniel is. He could have killed you, but didn't do it. What does this mean? It means that he loves you deeply." Tun Tianhu, didn't they say that Miss Hu would become Erhu? However, she didn't expect that stupid cow to be so heroic. It didn't seem to be that useless. Seeing this, Yun Chujiu didn't say anything more. It was obvious that Tun Tianhu was starting to loosen up. It wouldn't be good to force it. Hei Xinjie said with a smile, "You two make your own decisions. Let's continue moving forward. Let's go." As a result, there was another Tun Tianhu in Hei Xinjie's team. Yes, Miss Eru. It was fine if the bull lion beast had not awakened before, but now that it had awakened, the Tun Tianhu looked beautiful no matter how one looked at it. Its two bull eyes stared at the Tun Tianhu nonstop. The Tun Tianhu was very shy from being stared at, and its head was about to sink into the ground. Hei Xinjie sat on the back of the bull, hugged Di Baiming and said with a smile, "Little beauty, look at this bull having feelings. Doesn't the tiger have any thoughts about the scene?" Di Baiming's eyes twitched. "I don't have any thoughts. What do you have in mind?" Hei Xinjie lowered her head as her eyes sparkled. She said seriously, "I want to kiss you." As it was daytime, Di Baiming's health was better. When he heard Yun Chujia's words, his eyes darkened. He suddenly raised his hand and pulled He Xinjiu towards him. His lips carried a chill as he attacked the city. He Xinjiu, who had brought this upon herself, was soon kissed until she was dizzy. She did not know where she was going. However, this guy did not lose in battle. After he was finally let off by Di Biming, he said casually, "Little beauty, you are very enthusiastic today. I am very satisfied. I will reward you handsomely." Di Biming was so angry that his eyes were burning. However, after the previous struggle, he had used up all his strength. He could only glare at He Xinjiu. At this moment, the sky had already darkened. Yun Chujiu chose a place to shelter from the wind. She took out an all-purpose tent and carried Di Biming inside. As the night deepened, Di Biming's condition started to deteriorate again. Yun Chujiu's warning did not have any effect. Yun Chujiu could only force Di Biming to drink some of her blood. Only then did he improve slightly. Yun Chujiu's brows were tightly knitted. The reason why she had been teasing Di Biming these past few days was firstly because she really wanted to teach Di Biming a lesson. Secondly, she wanted to see if she could suck the remaining things over by kissing him. However, it did not have any effect. Yun Chujiu had once communicated with Guai Chao, but Guai Chao could not speak. Yun Chujiu could only understand the meaning of its gestures. The gist of it was that it was still too weak. If those things did not take the initiative to attack, it had no way to suck it in for the time being. Yun Chujiu could not help but smile bitterly. What was this? There was a dog's tail growing in her dantian. No matter what, it could help her occasionally. The thing in the gigolo's body did not even know what was inside. It was simply fucking dog. Now it seemed that she could only wait for Guai Chao to become stronger, or for the gigolo to break the seal again and find a way to get rid of those things. Yun Chujiu saw that Di Biming's lips were blue and purple from the cold, and her heart ached. She took off her coat and hugged Di Biming again. The poor one was shivering from the cold, but its heart was burning like fire. It was simply indescribably sour. Outside the tent, the bull-lion beast looked at the sky-swallowing tiger lovingly. The sky-swallowing tiger lowered its head, looking shy. Meng Yanshou squatted beside the tent and felt that he had nothing left to live for. Other people always paired up, but he was the only single beast. It was simply torturing him to death. The next morning, Yun Chujiu and Di Biming had a simple breakfast. They climbed onto the back of the bull once again and headed towards the depths of the fallen god abyss. In the next few days, He Xinjia's strategy was to bluff as many demonic beasts as she could. If she couldn't bluff them, she would get the bull-lion beast and the rest to gang up on them and establish a temporary contract. Of course, there were also those who were accidentally killed, so she would reward the bull-lion beast and the others. Meng Yanshou squatted on the back of the bull and looked at the bunch of ancient demonic beasts following behind him. The shock in his heart was beyond words. Oh my god! How could she play like this? After walking for such a long time, other than moving her mouth, this black-hearted little girl was hugging the Shengzun and showing off her love. What happened in the end? Not only was she fine, but she had also recruited a group of thugs. It was simply unbelievable. Moreover, this black-hearted girl seemed to have gone crazy. Along the way, she had already set up several pairs of demonic beasts. Damn it, seeing them pair up in pairs, it was simply torturing. On this day, He Xinjiu successfully fooled another heaven-devouring lion. When Di Biming saw the heaven-devouring lion, his ears inexplicably heated up. He recalled what He Xinjiu had said dozens of times a day. Suddenly, some images appeared in his mind. He Xinjiu noticed that Di Biming's head was emitting white smoke. She asked curiously, "Little beauty, I'm not angry with you today. Why are you angry again?" When Di Biming heard Yun Chujia's question, his neck turned red instantly. "I'm trying to see if I can mobilize my spiritual power." "Just do your thing." He Xinjiu didn't doubt it. She didn't expect that a certain master had gone astray. He Xinjiu then asked the heaven-devouring lion, "What kind of demonic beast's territory is it?" The heaven-devouring lion showed a terrified expression. "Little fairy, please don't go any further. If you go any further, it's a barren place. Some low-level demonic beasts in my territory accidentally entered by mistake. They almost bled to death the moment they stepped into that area. It's too scary." Yun Chujiu frowned. "It sounds quite scary. What happens after we pass through the area?" "I once climbed up the mountain and saw that the area was a lake filled with golden lotuses. It was simply too beautiful. However, I'm afraid that danger lurks everywhere inside," said the heaven-devouring lion. "Golden lotuses?" "It was probably the thousand-leaf golden grade lotus." "That was great," He Xinjiu said excitedly. "Let's go to the edge of the place you mentioned." Although the heaven-devouring lion was extremely unwilling, he could only lead He Xinjiu and a bunch of demonic beasts forward. Before they reached the death zone mentioned by the heaven-devouring lion, the demonic beasts were already out of breath. It was as if there was a huge pressure enveloping them. It was too terrifying. He Xinjiu waved her hand and signaled the demonic beasts to stop. Di Baiming frowned. "Little Jiu, this is probably the scariest thing in my memory, the pressure of God." Meng Yanshou said, "That's right. Your Excellency is right. This should be the legendary pressure of God. Little fairy, it seems that we have no way to enter." Yun Chujiu narrowed her eyes. Pressure of God? She was not even afraid of the pressure of Tiandao, so why would she be afraid of this bullshit pressure of God? If the God was extinct, how much pressure could be left behind? Hence, this fellow jumped off the back of the ox and took a few tentative steps forward, but nothing happened. He jumped a few more times, but nothing happened. Meng Yanshou's eyes were wide open. "Io, how is this possible? How could that black-hearted little girl be completely fine?" That was the pressure of the gods. It was said that this fallen god abyss was the final place where the gods fell. Although the gods had already been destroyed, their remaining pressure was still there. Not to mention that little girl. Even if the Lord did not have an old illness acting up, he would still need to spend a lot of effort to pass through. However, that little girl was not only fine, but she could even jump around. What the hell? The heaven-swallowing mad lion and the other demonic beasts were also dumbfounded. That little girl was simply inhuman. How could she be completely fine? A trace of surprise flashed across Di Baiming's eyes. Although he knew that Yun Chujiu had many strange features, he did not expect that she could even withstand the pressure of God. Yun Chujiu hopped forward for some distance, and when she found that nothing had happened, she returned with a smile. "Little beauty, it's no problem for me to pass. I can also put these demonic beasts into the spirit beast bag, but what about you?" He Xinjiu tilted her head and asked Di Baiming. Di Baiming was not stupid. He naturally saw that He Xinjiu was showing off and showing off. He snorted coldly. "Anyway, there are still 5 more days before the fallen god abyss closes. Perhaps my body will recover in another 2 days. Let's stay nearby for now." Yun Chujiu pouted. "Don't you know that you have to be careful when doing things? What if something else happens? Therefore, there's no time to lose. It's best to pass through this place immediately. Little beauty, don't worry. I've thought of a way to protect you." Di Baiming was stunned. "What ways?" "I'll put up a spiritual energy shield to protect you. It shouldn't be a problem. Let's try it first," He Xinjiu said. Di Baiming was so angry that he laughed. "Little Jiu, you're thinking too simply. If the spiritual energy shield works, will those demonic beasts die tragically?" Even if Di Baiming objected, there was no way for him to escape He Xinjiu's demonic claws, so he could only be carried on He Xinjiu's shoulder. After He Xinjiu put up the spiritual energy shield, she took a few tentative steps inside and asked, "How is it? Is it uncomfortable?" Di Baiming was shocked. It really worked? Seeing that Di Baiming was fine, He Xinjiu was so smug that she didn't know what to do. This guy was so proud that he accidentally removed the spiritual energy barrier. When he reacted, he found that Di Biming wasn't abnormal. The two of them looked at each other. This world was so strange. Seeing that Yun Chujiu and Di Biming were fine, Meng Yanshou also jumped over. Then he died. Half of Meng Yanshou's soul floated out of the rabbit's body that was already in a terrible state. He said with a hopeless expression, "Little fairy, can you change my body? I think Daniel and the others have good bodies. I'll choose one." The heaven-swallowing mad lion and the other demonic beasts trembled in fear. What kind of monster was this? He Xinjiu walked out of the death zone and took out another windblade rabbit from the great void mystic realm. "Stop talking nonsense. If you don't want to run, continue to be a rabbit for me." Just as Meng Yanshou was about to argue, he saw Di Biming's cold gaze and immediately obediently continued to be a rabbit. Yun Chujiu kept the demonic beasts and the nightmare beast into her spirit beast pouch and carried Di Biming forward. He Xinjiu asked Di Biming as she walked forward, "Can you sense the important thing you mentioned?" "Not yet, but I think it should be in the lake ahead," Di Biming said in a deep voice. Yun Chujiu nodded. "Little beauty, don't worry. I will definitely help you get what you want. When the time comes, you have to serve me well." Di Biming was already numb to He Xinjiu, who was possessed by the acting talent. If she was willing to act, then ACT. Anyway, he would remember every single stroke. A lifetime was so long, there was no need to be afraid of settling accounts. "Take your time." He Xinjiu shivered for some reason and comforted herself. It was probably because the gigolo's body was too cold. Yes, that must be the case. When they were almost halfway there, a violent wind suddenly blew up in front of them. The sand on the ground was all swept up by the wind. He Xinjiu hurriedly raised her spiritual energy barrier to protect herself and Di Biming. There must be something wrong. Why was there a strong wind all of a sudden? He Xinjiu did not continue to walk forward. She stopped and took out a recliner and placed Di Biming on it. Then she protected him behind her. After the strong wind passed, black gas gathered in all directions and gradually transformed into the figure of a woman. Her figure was graceful and beautiful. However, there was a sense of resentment between her brows. "Lil Zhou, this is Yuan Sha. You have to be more careful." Di Biming reminded her from the side. He hated his own body to the extreme, but at this moment, something happened to him.
Yuan Sha?
Yun Chujiu had seen the introduction of Yuan Sha in the ancient books. Yuan Sha was formed from the condensation of many vengeful souls. Although it was not a devil, it was not far from becoming a devil. Yun Chujiu could not help but laugh. This fallen god pool was the place where the gods died. Their remnant souls actually condensed into Yuan Sha. In the end, they might even become devils. This was simply too ironic. Yuan Sha was also sizing up He Xinjiu and Di Biming. When it saw Di Biming, its eyes immediately burst with infatuation. What a handsome man! Yun Chujiu was instantly enraged. "Damn it! Where are your eyes looking? That's my man. Are you courting death?" When Di Biming heard Yun Chujiu's words, the corners of his mouth curled up. He loved to see the lively black things. "Oh, little girl, what a big tone. You are just a little girl who hasn't grown up. What qualifications do you have to compete with me?" Yuan Sha said as he looked at He Xinjiu's neck and above her abdomen with a mocking gaze. He Xinjiu followed Yuan Sha's gaze and lowered her head. Immediately, she became even more angry from embarrassment. She really had to bring up the pot to the kettle. Right now, the thing that she was most angry about was these two little steamed buns. However, although this fellow was angry in his heart, he said with a smile on his face, "Old woman, I'm sorry. My man likes me like this." I'm small and cute. Unlike some people, if you don't know, you'll think him a cow or a cow. Although Di Biming knew that the situation was not right, his ears were still red. Small and cute, what he said was really impressive. When the Yuan Sha heard He Xinjia's words, its face immediately darkened. Stupid girl, I will not lower myself to your level. You can leave him here, or I will kill you. Yun Chujiu curled her lips. You're not even a ghost. What right do you have to threaten me? I also have a sentence for you.
You can either get lost or die.
It's your choice. Yuan Sha laughed crazily. Little girl, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Since you are courting death, you can just absorb your remnant soul as my food. Yuan Sha's hands turned into sharp claws as he spoke and clawed at He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu looked at Yuan Sha with contempt and opened the green jade bottle in her hand. A huge demonic beast appeared in front of Yuan Sha. The demonic beast looked like a tiger, but it had a pair of slightly curved fangs. Its tail was very thick and there were saw teeth on it. Yuan Sha took a few steps back in shock. Tao Wu? How? How did you get the remnant soul of Tao Wu? Yun Chujiu was stunned. Damn it, she took the wrong one. She wanted to release those remnant souls, but why did she release Tao Wu? Speaking of which, Tao Wu seemed to have solidified a little more than when she first brought it in. This fellow thought that since Tao Wu's remnant soul had solidified, maybe the stupid, and ferocious Qiong Qi could be released too. Hence, she opened another porcelain bottle. Qiong Qi flew out, but the fallen god Abyss forbade flying. He fell to the ground with a thud. Fortunately, his remnant soul did not fall. Qiong Qi grinned and said, Little fairy, you are getting worse. The moment I came out, you made me fall. I really like you. He Xinjiu, it was indeed a familiar formula and a familiar smell. This fellow still deserved to be scolded. Qiong Qi turned around and saw Tao Wu. This fellow's mouth opened even wider. Little fairy, you're really too bad. You actually captured this trash Tao Wu?
Ha ha ha.
I knew you were the worst person. Yun Chujiu looked at Qiong Qi speechlessly. Such a strange-looking ferocious beast was really a weirdo. Yuan Sha cried out in shock. How do you have the remnant souls of Tao Wu and Qiong Qi? Impossible. Haven't their souls already dissipated? Yun Chujiu's heart skipped a beat and she probed. Their souls have dissipated? Don't spout nonsense. Tao Wu and Qiong Qi are the four great ancient ferocious beasts. How can their souls dissipate? Who could have such abilities? Yuan Sha snorted coldly. What an ignorant little girl. What do you know? Back then, HMPH. Forget it, I won't stoop to your level. If you return the way you came, I'll spare you. Yun Chujiu originally wanted to get information from Yuan Sha, but now that Yuan Sha was unwilling to speak, she knew that she wouldn't be able to get anything out of him. Hence, she said, both of you are ancient ferocious beasts. Today, I will see which of you is stronger and kill it. Tao Wu and Qiong Qi looked at each other. When they were alive, they had been secretly competing with each other. Now, they naturally didn't show any weakness and pounced towards Yuan Sha. Yun Chujiu was afraid that things might change if it was too late, so she summoned a group of piglets to help. Qiong Qi grinned happily. Little fairy, did you release a group of piglets to create trouble for us? You are too bad. You even cheated your own companions. I love you to death. As soon as Qiong Qi finished speaking, it felt a cold gaze staring at it. Only then did it notice that there was a man sitting beside the little girl. The man wore a silver mask on his face. Although his facial features could not be seen clearly, his sharp gaze was like a knife. Qiong Qi suddenly shivered. Its eyes were wide open. Oh God, it was actually that person. No, it must have sensed wrongly. This was impossible. It must have been stuck in the porcelain bottle for too long, so its eyes were blurry. Yes, that must be the case. When Qiong Qi came back to his senses, De Hua had already slowly appeared out of thin air. Qiong Qi's big eyeballs almost popped out. He looked at De Hua in disbelief. God, how did this foodie become like this? De Hua looked at Qiongqi as if he was looking at an idiot, ignoring him. Qiongqi felt that the entire beast was in bad shape. It must have been locked up for too long, and its brain was damaged. Could it be that the black-hearted little fairy had tampered with it, and that was why it was hallucinating? Such a wicked little fairy was really too cute. Yuan Sha was also quite shocked when it saw De Hua. What the hell was this thing? Yuan Sha gritted his teeth. Their strength was not even 1/10,000 of their original strength, so what was there to be afraid of? Thus, the four of them engaged in a chaotic battle. Of course, De Hua's endurance was unlimited. After it disappeared, it lazily reappeared a moment later. Qiongqi's mouth was wide open, and he was happy again. Oh my god, it can be played like this? It's so fun. The little fairy really knows how to play. This beast likes her so much. How can there be such a bad person in this world? It's so magical. He Xinjiu looked at Qiongqi speechlessly and smiled like a fool. How could such a thing be considered an ancient beast? It was simply an idiot. Yuan Sha became more and more frustrated as they fought. Tao Wu and Qiongqi were even bigger than a horse. No matter what, they were the remnant souls of ancient ferocious beasts. The most detestable one was the pig that kept jumping out. It was useless even if they were scattered. After a while, it would jump out again. It was extremely detestable. Although that pig's spiritual power was not particularly high, it was extremely sinister. It was extremely detestable for it to secretly attack. It could not go on like this. It had to think of a way, or else it would definitely lose. It was not easy for it to develop its spiritual sense and cultivate such a skill. It could not die just like that, absolutely not. Yuan Sha looked at He Xinjiu coldly. Its hair suddenly grew and rolled towards He Xinjiu. Yuan Sha's idea was very simple. To catch a thief, one had to catch the leader first. As long as he could control that wretched girl, the rest would not be a problem. Yun Chujiu did not expect Yuan Sha's hair to be a weapon. Although she had the spiritual energy shield, it was obviously unable to block Yuan Sha's attack. She also had to protect Di Baiming, so she was instantly entangled by Yuan Sha's hair. Yuan Sha exerted force, and He Xinjiu was pulled to its front. It grabbed Yun Chujiu's neck and said coldly, "Stop, or I'll kill her." Tao Wu, Qiongqi, and De Hua had no choice but to stop. Qiongqi grinned and said, "You idiot. The little fairy is full of evil intentions. Just wait for your bad luck. Little fairy, don't worry. We know that you were caught by it on purpose. We won't save you. You have to work hard. We have high hopes for you." Yun Chujiu, damn it. How could she have such a brainless beast? She really wanted to strangle it to death. Seeing that Yun Chujiu was swept away by Yuan Sha, Di Baiming's eyes turned red, but he could not even stand up. Anger, regret, and pain filled his entire body. Yuan Sha grabbed He Xinjiu's neck and laughed shrilly proudly. "Damn girl, I have to thank you properly. Not only did your soul become my food, but the remnant soul of the ancient beast was also a great tonic for me. Maybe I will become the Yuan Sha very soon."
Haha, this is all thanks to you.
Of course, that man is also mine. Such a top-notch man is really hard to come by. In the future, I can finally enjoy the joy of life. Yuan Sha tightened his grip as he spoke. Just when Tao Wu and De Hua were about to attack, they felt a bone-chilling chill. They turned around and saw Di Baiming standing up from the recliner. However, his eyes were bloodshot, and he exuded a chilly aura. Chapter 3047, 10,000 year. Old iceberg Yuan Sha was shocked by Di Baiming's murderous aura. Before it could react, Di Baiming waved his hand, and Yuan Sha's body turned into ashes uncontrollably. Tao Wu, Qiongqi, De Hua, He Xinjiu, where was the group fight? Where was the agonizing pain? Where was the 300-round battle? Was it over just like that? A one-hit kill? There was no sense of accomplishment, all right. Di Baiming glanced at He Xinjiu, who was sitting on the ground and gasping for air, and said coldly, "Come here." Hei Xinjiu had wanted to use the kitchen knife to cut Yuan Sha's hair, but Yuan Sha's hair blocked her spiritual power, so she had no way to use the kitchen knife. If she had known earlier, she would not have kept the kitchen knife in her storage ring. Hei Xinjiu stood up, took out the kitchen knife, and put it on her waist. Then, she jumped towards Di Baiming. "Little beauty, thank you. Otherwise, I would have died." Hei Xinjiu said it out loud and realized that something was wrong. Unfortunately, it was too late. Di Baiming pinched Hei Xinjiu's chin, and his gaze was as cold as ice. "What did you say just now?" Hei Xinjiu gulped. Fuck, could it be that this gigolo had unlocked another layer of seal? Was it an iceberg this time? Or was it an iceberg that would not melt for thousands of years? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, this guy had always been flexible. He said obsequiously, "Prince Charming, I said that my little beauty is lucky to be saved. Otherwise, I would be dead." "Is that so? What's wrong with me?" Me?
I'm talking about me.
"I call myself May in front of you." "Well, that's it." Hei Xinjiu rolled her eyes. It was better to be careful before figuring out the situation. Who knew whether this newly made pretty boy would punish her regardless of their old friendship? It was better to be careful. Di Baiming frowned and turned to look at Tao Wu and the other two. He asked coldly, "Did she just say me?" Seeing that the situation was not good, De Hua crashed into Qiongqi and disappeared. Qiongqi, fuck. It was too fucking bad. However, I like bad people, not bad beasts. Just you wait. Hei Xinjiu gave Tao Wu and Qiongqi a meaningful look. She blinked so hard that her eyes were about to cramp up. Tao Wu did not say anything. Qiongqi said to Di Baiming flatteringly, "Sir, whatever you say."
You said that I am me.
"You said that I am me. Well, I have been out for a long time. It's time for me to return to the bottle. Please be busy. Please be busy." After saying that, Qiongqi went into the ancient jade bottle that had fallen to the ground. What a joke. If he did not hide, would he be implicated? Tao Wu bowed to Di Baiming and went into another ancient jade bottle. Only Hei Xinjiu was left alone in the scene. A certain Jiu suddenly felt a huge pressure. Damn it, none of these idiots were reliable. They escaped at the crucial moment. Just as Hei Xinjiu was cursing in her heart, Di Baiming's cold voice sounded again. "Hey Dong, how do you think I should punish you?" Hei Xinjiu suddenly felt that everything ahead was dark. It was over. The gigolo was going to take revenge. If she had known earlier, she would not have been so smug a few days ago. If she was given a second chance, she would definitely not tease the gigolo. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Just as Hei Xinjiu was thinking, Di Baiming fell to the ground. Hei Xinjiu was shocked and quickly carried Di Baiming on the soft couch. She found that there was frost on Di Baiming's body again, and it quickly turned into solid ice. Hei Xinjiu did not care much and quickly cut a wound on her arm and dripped blood into Di Baiming's mouth. A moment later, Di Baiming woke up. Seeing that Yun Chujiu was safe, he let out a sigh of relief. "Little Jiu, are you okay?" Yun Chujiu was stunned. Why did she change back? This fellow did not dare to act rashly. He asked tentatively, "How do you feel? What happened just now?" "I was worried about your safety. In a moment of desperation, I seem to have broken through a little of the seal. However, I can't remember what exactly happened." "It's good that you are fine." Di Baiming was extremely afraid. If he had not broken through the seal temporarily, the consequences were simply unimaginable. Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. Haha, so it was only temporary. She was scared to death. "Little beauty, I was really scared. Come, let's have some incense to comfort my scared little heart." Hei Xinjiu pouted and kissed Di Baiming's lips. This guy had long forgotten about what he had said just now. If she were to do it all over again, she would change her ways. Today was the day she drank today was the day she drank. She did not care about the worries and worries of tomorrow. Biming had no choice but to let women, hooligans do whatever they wanted. After being tortured, he said, since the remnant souls are not affected here, release the ancient remnant souls and take out the corpses of the ancient cultivators you found in the Shura prison. Let them try to possess you. Hei Xinjiu clapped her hands. She had almost forgotten about that. Therefore, the guy released the 4 lords of the remnant souls and took out the corpses of the ancient cultivators. He said smugly, come on. You can choose for yourselves. There are all kinds of men, women, and children. Choose whichever one you like. Fu Ao and the other 2 were overjoyed. They had been looking forward to this day for a long time. Although the corpses were not their real bodies, they were all the corpses of the ancient cultivators. They should be able to withstand their remnant souls. Therefore, after picking and choosing, each of them chose a corpse of an ancient cultivator. However, it turned out that they could not fuse with each other.
Fu Ao sighed.
Little girl, someone has placed a restriction on these corpses. Our remnant souls are unable to fuse with them. Hei Xinjiu was stunned. There was such a method? Fuck, this was too much. When she returned to the Chaos Origin sect, she would definitely seek revenge from the Qi Ling of the Azura prison. She had been in high spirits, but it was all for naught. Fu Ao and the others comforted Hei Xinjiu and returned to the ancient jade bottle. Hei Xinjiu put away the corpses with her head lowered, feeling a little down. Seeing this, Biming comforted her. Little Jiu, you don't have to be sad. It's just that the time hasn't come yet. You'll find a way to break the restrictions sooner or later. Hei Xinjiu nodded. Sooner or later, there would be a way. This guy's self-adjustment ability was very strong, and he soon became lively again. Little beauty, let's go. It'll take you to see the lotus flowers. It's said that people are more beautiful than flowers. In my heart, you're the most beautiful.
Bo, so obedient.
Biming. Hei Xinjiu carried Biming and walked through the death zone in high spirits. In the distance, she saw a big lake full of golden lotus flowers. It was so beautiful that people couldn't believe that it was a real beauty. Biming suddenly said, Little Jiu, what I need should be in the lake. However, I also feel a huge threat. Be careful. Hei Xinjiu released the Meng Yanshou. After all, it was as if it was not dead even if it died. She just needed to change its shell. Curly hair, go ahead and scout the way. Alright, I'll go now. The Meng Yanshou's attitude was extremely upright. This fellow was already shocked by Yun Chujia's perversion. Oh my god. This black-hearted little girl actually had the remnant souls of Tao Wu and Qiong Qi. She must have a powerful background, so it was better to serve her carefully. Meng Yanshou hopped closer to the Great Lake. When he was still a few hundred feet away from the Great Lake, he saw golden mist drifting out from each blooming golden lotus flower and finally condensing into a glittering monk. Meng Yanshou was dumbfounded. What was this thing? Demon? He had never heard of a demon becoming a monk. In order to show off in front of Hei Xinjiu, Meng Yanshou opened his red eyes and shouted, Hey, who are you? This penniless monk is not a thing. This penniless monk is formed from the essence of the Buddha lotus. Almsgivers, why are you here? The monk asked in a calm tone. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. He actually said that he is not a thing.
Ha ha ha.
Meng Yanshou laughed and rolled on the ground. The monk acted as if he didn't hear it. He didn't show any dissatisfaction but looked calmly at Hei Xinjiu and Biming. Biming frowned and whispered into Yun Chujia's ear, There's something strange. Be careful. Hei Xinjiu agreed and took out the reclining chair to settle Biming. Then, she said to the monk, We came here to pick some lotus flowers. We also want to know the way out of here. Master, can you do us a favor? The monk shook his head. These are all lotus flowers, and none of them can be touched. Since you have entered this place, there is no way to leave. You'd better leave quickly, or you will regret it. Hei Xinjiu curled the corner of her mouth. Who said that these lotus flowers cannot be touched? Besides, there is a passage to leave under this lake. Are you trying to fool me? Don't think that just because you've made yourself so shiny, you can pretend to be a ghost in front of me. I'm not afraid of this. Little master? The corner of Di Biming's eyes twitched. Was this a natural habit? The golden monk was not angry when he heard that. Instead, he sat cross-legged and began to recite the scriptures. Meng Yanshou held his head and said, "Little fairy, my head hurts. I can't listen to this thing." Pandy and Zero Vel. Calm seeing this, Yun Chujiu had no choice but to put Meng Yanshou into the spiritual beast bag. Then, she rolled her eyes and said with evil intentions, "Hey, master, have you heard that emptiness is color and color is emptiness?" The monk paused and was about to speak when Hei Xinjiu leaned over and kissed Di Biming's lips. She even reached into Di Biming's clothes and touched everywhere. Hei Xinjiu said while taking advantage of him, "Hey,
See.
this is lust. Come, explain to me, why is this also called Kong? Little Jiu, you are very good. I will repay you properly." Di Biming said through gritted teeth. His eyes were as deep as a bottomless abyss. Hei Xinjiu shivered, but she did not take her hand out. It felt really good to not take advantage of a bastard. The monk was obviously confused. He stuttered, "Female benefactor, please have some self-respect. Emptiness is lust, not your lust. I don't care which one it is. Why are you stuttering? Do you have a common sense and want to find a wife to warm your bed? Do you also want to taste the 7 emotions and 6 desires?" Just as the monk was about to defend himself, Hei Xinjiu continued, "You are still saying that the world is empty. Let me ask you, since you are empty, why are you so stingy? Why don't you let me pick these lotus flowers? Since you are merciful, why do you want to trap us here? Why don't you let us out? You are just a fake merciful monk. Since you are also bald, I decided to negotiate with you. Don't be so shameless. Let me ask you, are you going to move or not?" The monk was dumbfounded. Was she also bald? Was she also bald? Was the hair on her head fake? Recalling what Yun Chujiu had said, the monk was at a loss. He mumbled to himself, "Yes. Since I have nothing to do, why do I still have to guard the lotus flowers? Since I have cast aside the distracting thoughts of the mortal world, why am I still not allowed to go out?" Hei Xinjiu continued, "The Buddha is sitting in the heart, and the meat and wine are passing through the intestines. You are too rigid. There are so many lotus flowers. So what if I pick a few? It's not like they won't grow in the future. Besides, you won't let us go. Do you want to continue watching us make out? Do you want to watch us make love? I know. You must think so. I didn't expect you to be such a monk." "No, it's not like that. This penniless monk didn't want to peek at you. Yes, you insisted. Female benefactor, please respect yourself. Amitabha." The monk was obviously confused. When he saw Hei Xinjiu kiss Di Biming again, he immediately closed his eyes. Di Biming whispered in Yun Chujiu's ear, "I remember the background of this monk. It was said that there was once a respected master who volunteered to come to the fallen god Abyss to resolve the grievance. He probably failed in the end. His obsession attached itself to the lotus flowers and eventually turned into the monk in front of him." Yun Chujiu nodded. This monk was quite pitiful. She sighed. "Why do you need to do that? The grievance will dissipate one day. Everything in the world has its own way. Why do you need to interfere?" The monk was dazed. He asked in a daze, "Are you saying that everything that I did was unnecessary? I allowed the lotus flowers to purify the resentment here and guarded the exit so that no one could get out. It was also to prevent the news from leaking out so that no one would come here to die. Why did you say that what I did was unnecessary?" Hei Xinjiu sneered again and again. "All right, let me ask you one thing. After purifying for so many years, why did you still create that Yuan Sha? You trapped us here to prevent others from coming in to die. Is this what you mean by mercy? Isn't everyone equal in the world?
Why?
Am I inferior to my little beauty? Should I die? The monk was rendered speechless by He Xinjia's words. He tried to justify himself.
You don't understand.
I'm not here just to purify the Yuan Sha. What else? What else do I have to do? My head. The monk covered his head in pain. What else? What else do I need to do? Why can't I remember? He Xinjiu blinked her eyes. If you can't remember, then go to the side and think about it. I'll pick a few flowers first and refine them into pills to save people. It'll help you accumulate virtue. The monk was clearly in a trance. He did not have any reaction after hearing Yun Chujia's words. Yun Chujiu did not care about that. She summoned Xiao He and the rest to protect Di Baiming. Then, she walked to the lakeside and started to cut the lotus flowers near the shore with her kitchen knife. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. He Xinjiu cut and pondered. The 1,000-leaf golden-grade lotus root should be quite delicious, right? When she went into the water later, she would definitely dig up a few and taste them. While He Xinjiu was busy, Monk suddenly shouted, "Stop." This penniless monk remembered. "You must be here for that thing. Don't even think about it. You guys leave this place quickly, or this penniless monk won't be polite." He Xinjia's heart skipped a beat. That thing? It should be the thing that the pretty boy wanted. He Xinjia's hands did not stop moving as she said, "Not hold back? Why are you not holding back? Are you reciting scriptures?" The monk sneered. "Humph.
You are so stubborn."
This penniless monk will let you experience the Buddhist light golden lotus array. Di Baiming was shocked when he heard the monk mention the Buddhist light golden lotus array. He shouted at Yun Chujiu, "Little Jiu, come back." Unfortunately, it was too late. Several golden rays shot out from the golden lotus in the pond and formed the shape of a golden lotus, enveloping He Xinjiu, who was chopping the lotus. The monk sighed. "Female benefactor. The Buddha is merciful. As long as you agree to leave with your companions, I will let you go. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless."
Tui.
You are acting like a fool. You talk about how noble and selfless you are, but aren't you doing it for your own selfish interests? What right do you have to stop us from leaving? You are the embodiment of your obsession. You are greedy for the mortal world. You haven't even reached home in your cultivation yet, and you still have the cheek to be boisterous. Get out of my way. He Xinjiu did not have strict notions of good and evil in her bones. She did not care about saving all living beings. If anyone wanted to kill her, they could die without a discussion. Hearing Yun Chujia's words, the monk was so angry that his golden body turned black. He Xinjiu was overjoyed when she saw it.
Io.
Stop pretending, right? As I said, all the resentment from before has turned into Yuan Sha. How can you become a Buddha on the spot? So you are a fake. The monk's face was hideous. You are spouting nonsense. This penniless monk is doing the right thing. How can I become a devil? Impossible. All of you have to die today. You will become the nourishment of my lotus. Continue to purify the resentment here. He Xinjiu curled her lips. It was already like this? Why didn't he admit it? Perhaps the so-called obsession in the beginning was really out of good intentions. Unfortunately, what was the obsession? To put it bluntly, it was also resentment. As time passed, it was inevitable that he would become a devil. It was really regrettable. One had to admit that this fellow was really ambitious. At this time, he was still thinking about all sorts of things. He should think of a way to break the array. Di Baiming was afraid that Yun Chujiu would be in danger, so he asked Xiao Hanio and the others to save her. However, Yun Chujiu had ordered them to protect Di Baiming at all times. These dumb cuties felt that although Di Baiming was scary, Master He Xin's methods were more sinister, so it was better to listen to her. Moreover, Master Hei Xian was full of evil, so she did not necessarily need them to save her. Di Biming was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He could only watch as countless Sanskrit words appeared in the golden lotus flower. Those Sanskrit words turned into sharp golden swords and shot into Hei Xinjia's forehead. The monk revealed a cold smile. Female benefactor, you force me to do this. Let the Buddhist scriptures purify your spiritual sense. It's not that this penniless monk didn't give you a chance, but you are too stubborn. Although killing you has added 2 more grudges, it's still better than letting you fall into the devil path. Hey, imposter, aren't you tired after saying so much? What tricks do you have? I've been waiting for a long time, but nothing happened. Aren't you delaying my work? After saying that, Hei Xinjiu took out her big kitchen knife and continued to chop the lotus flowers. The monk was dumbfounded. It was impossible. The Buddha Light Golden Lotus Array was a rare array that could attack one's spiritual sense. How could this stupid girl be completely fine? How? How is this possible? While the monk was in a daze, Hei Xinjiu had already chopped more than 10 lotus flowers. Unfortunately, there were very few lotus flowers near the shore. If she wanted to continue chopping, she could only go down into the lake. Hey monk, you've seen it yourself. Your formation is useless against me. If you don't move aside, I'll pull out all the lotus flowers here. Hei Xinjiu said arrogantly, with a large kitchen knife in her hand. The monk was so angry that he gritted his teeth. After withdrawing the Buddhist light golden lotus formation, he leaped up from the lotus seat and struck Hei Xinjiu with his palm. After dodging the attack, Hei Xinjiu jumped into the lake with a splash and darted between the lotus flowers like a small fish. Hey, go ahead. The lotus flowers will be dead after you hit them. I don't care. The monk was so angry that he almost fainted. This stinky girl was too mean. A glint flashed across the monk's eyes. Since he had no way to deal with this stinky girl, he would take the man as a hostage. He was not afraid that the stinky girl would not give in. Therefore, the monk leaped toward Di Biming. Seeing this, Hei Xinjiu quickly shouted, "Little bastard, turtle shell." The little bastard quickly summoned the turtle shell and protected Di Biming and the other dumb cuties inside. The monk slapped the turtle shell. The turtle shell. Well, nothing happened. Just as the monk was about to continue attacking the turtle shell, he heard Yun Chuju shout, "Io, the lotus roots of the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus are quite delicious." The monk said in exasperation, You put it down. That's a Buddha lotus, not some 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus." Yun Chuju curled her lips. What Buddha lotus? It was clearly a 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus. Did he think she was an idiot? Hey, monk, the current situation is that you can't do anything to us. So, how about we reconcile? I'm not greedy. I'll just get some lotus flowers and lotus roots. Then, well, leave this fallen god abyss, and you'll have peace. Monk was so angry that he turned completely black, but he couldn't do anything to the slippery Hei Xinjiu. He gritted his teeth. You've already cut down a lot of lotus flowers. Stop right now. You guys can leave through the tunnel at the bottom of the lake now. Okay. Little bastard, bring the turtle shell into the lake, Yun Chuju said with a smile. The monk always felt that Hei Xinjia's smile was a bit treacherous, and he had a bad premonition in his heart. Soon, the little bastard rolled into the lake with the turtle shell. Yun Chuju picked up the big kitchen knife and continued to cut the lotus flowers. The monk, didn't she say that she wouldn't continue to cut the lotus flowers? Where was the most basic honesty between people? Monk, I'm doing this for your own good. It's obvious that you've started to demonize. In order to release you, I need to get more lotus flowers. When the time comes, I'll refine more pills to help you build a good relationship. You don't have to be too grateful to me. Of course, it's fine if you give me more lotus roots. You're talking nonsense. I'll slap you to death. The monk had never seen such a scoundrel before. He was so angry that he couldn't care less about whether the lotus flowers would be damaged or not. He slapped Hei Shinjo. However, Hei Shinjo suddenly crawled into the turtle shell and said with a smile, all right. I won't chop you anymore. Let's go to the center of the lake and find a passage. Master, I advise you to put down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha immediately. Your obsession is also resentment. You will definitely become a devil in the long run. You should take care of yourself. After Hei Shinjo was done acting cool, she asked the little bastard to direct the turtle shell to float to the depths of the lake. While Hei Shinjo was gnawing on the lotus root inside the turtle shell, she heard the monk sigh. Female benefactor, please wait. Afraid that there might be a trap, Hei Shinjo only revealed her small head. Master, what can I do for you? The monk's black figure turned golden again. It was not the dazzling golden color from before, but a light golden color that made people feel warm. The female benefactor's words reminded the person in the dream. If it wasn't for the female benefactor intentionally enlightening and causing this penniless monk's mood to rise and fall, this penniless monk would still be obsessed with appearances. Hei Shinjo touched her nose guiltily. She was not intentionally enlightening, but this fellow would not admit it. He said pretentiously, back then, Master sacrificed himself for the sake of all the people in the world. This young master, this young lady is full of admiration. Therefore, it's only right for this young lady to do something for Master. Xiao Hanio, who was inside the turtle shell, almost vomited. Damn, Master Heizen's face was getting thicker and thicker. No, she was completely shameless. The monk did not know that this fellow was putting on an act. He said with emotion, the female benefactor is really clever. The most precious thing is her pure heart. This penniless monk was able to meet the female benefactor to enlighten me. This penniless monk is really lucky. Pure heart? Not to mention the few little blackbirds, even Hei Shinjo herself felt that this term was somewhat inappropriate to be used on her. Ahem, Master, you are exaggerating. I wonder, what is Master's next step? Hei Shinjo quickly changed the topic. Otherwise, she was afraid that she would laugh out loud. The monk raised his head and laughed loudly. Hei Shinjo was so scared that she shivered. Oh my God, has this monk gone mad? Why was he laughing? The monk laughed for a long time before he sighed. You want me to waste the lives of countless people? I didn't expect you to be so stubborn after I died. What a joke. Almsgiver, this penniless monk has a favor to ask of you. Will you agree to it? Hei Shinju nodded repeatedly. Please speak, Master. I will definitely help you if I can. The Master praised Hei Shinjo again and said, this penniless monk will disperse this last bit of obsession in a moment. Please help me give this relic to the Bitter Zen sect at your convenience, almsgiver. This penniless monk's soul has returned to his homeland. Before Hei Shinjo could ask where the so-called Bitter Zen sect was, the monk had already spread out. The last white relic with a faint golden light fell into Hei Xinjia's hand. Master, where is the Bitter Zen sect? Hei Shinjo shouted. Unfortunately, there was no response. It was obvious that the monk had lost his soul. This monk is too impatient. Can't he say a few more words? He hasn't even told us where the little bowties things are. Seriously. Yun Chujo did not know that after the monk had realized the truth, he felt that staying here for even a moment would be a blasphemy to Buddha. That was why he hurriedly told her about the funeral and then disappeared. Hei Shinjo rolled her eyes. Now that no one was watching the lotus pond, it would be a waste not to take it. Thus, this guy ordered the stupid cuties to start a round of torment. However, this guy still had a conscience. He only stuffed half of the 1,000-leaf golden-grade lotus into his storage ring and did not wrap it all up. Little beauty, where is the thing you want to take? Let's go find it now. Hei Shinjo hugged Di Baiming and kissed him, then said, let's go to the center of the lake and take a look. I think it should be there. However, you have to be careful. There should be something dangerous in the center of the lake, Di Baiming said in a deep voice. Yun Chujio then realized that there was not a single fish or shrimp in the lake water. This was a very strange phenomenon. The water was not poisonous. Then, why was there no other living creature other than the lotus? Yun Chujio let the little bastard command the turtle shell to approach the center of the lake. He Xinjiu saw through the cracks in the turtle shell. Unlike the lake water by the shore, the water near the center of the lake was very clear. It could be described as clear as the bottom of the lake. The bottom of the lake was covered in transparent white sand, which made it seem peaceful and peaceful. However, there was no sign of life at all, which made it somewhat weird. Just as He Xinjiu was feeling anxious, black mist rose from the surface of the lake and finally formed a man, who looked very fierce. The man burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! It's all because of that stinky monk. I've been suppressed at the bottom of the lake all these years. I didn't expect that the stinky monk would commit suicide. The heavens are really helping me. He Xinjiu's heart sank. Right, the monk had said that he had other things to do. It turned out that he was not only guarding that thing, but also suppressing the man with the array formation. It seemed that he was a devil. He Xinjiu did not dare to be careless. She opened a crack on the turtle shell and said, "Hey. As you can see, I tricked that stupid monk into committing suicide. I'm your benefactor. I don't expect anything in return. Let us leave this place." The man rolled his eyes. "That man can leave, but you can stay. You can be my wife. From now on, this place will be our territory. When the time is right, I'll take you out." Hearing the man's words, Di Biming's face turned gloomy. However, his body was useless. Even if he was angry to death, he could not take care of that man. He Xinjiu felt Di Biming's low pressure. She said to the man, "Bah, look at your behavior. You look like you're playing around. Do you still want me? I like my little beauty like that. If you're like that, just find a piece of tofu and kill yourself." When Di Biming heard He Xinjiu's words, the corners of his mouth curled up. As for what little master, little beauty, and so on, well, he ignored them. The man snorted coldly. "Little girl, do you know who I am?
How dare you talk to me like that?
Aren't you afraid of death?
Who are you?
Does it have anything to do with me having a spiritual stone? Judging from your ugly appearance, you must be a demon, right? TSK, TSK. Don't you know that I have a nickname called Professional Demon Slayer? The value of your existence is to make my title shine even more. You, brat, you are courting death." As the man spoke, the black mist turned into several sharp-mouthed bats and pounced at He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu immediately shrank into the turtle shell. "Io, this is the first time I've seen such an attack." Other people are all wind blades or something. How could his mist turn into bats? However, it was also true. The monster that they had encountered in the Tianluo mystic realm could turn their spiritual sense into many monsters. It was not surprising that there were all kinds of strange things in the world. The sound of sharp-mouthed bats hitting the turtle shell kept coming from above. Fortunately, the turtle shell was very hard, and there was no damage. The man could not do anything to Yun Chujio and the others. Yun Chujio did not dare to leave the turtle shell either. The two sides were in a stalemate. However, there was a serious problem in front of Yun Chujio and Di Biming. As time passed, it was getting closer and closer to the closing time of the fallen god abyss. If they did not seize the time, they would not be able to leave. Therefore, they had to think of a way to kill the demon outside. Yun Chujio had a large kitchen knife in her hand, but she did not have much confidence. Moreover, this was in the water, so the small flames would not be of much use. Just when Blackheart Jiao was at a loss, Meng Yanshou spoke. "Little fairy, I have almost recovered. I will weave a dream for that demon, and you take the opportunity to kill him." In fact, Meng Yanshou had hesitated and weighed the pros and cons before deciding to step forward. This fellow was now half a soul. Using its innate ability would consume a lot of spiritual power that it had spent a lot of effort to cultivate. Therefore, it would hide whenever it could. When the monk chanted the sutras, it did not have a headache at all. It was afraid that Yun Chujiu would make it attack, so it found an excuse to hide. However, looking at it now, it seemed that there was no other good method other than it. It could only brace itself and charge forward. Yun Chujiu was overjoyed. It was rare that she did not rebuke the Meng Yanshou. She said in an unprecedentedly gentle tone, "Curly hair, if we can successfully kill the demon outside this time, I will lend you the script that I found in the imperial palace of the Yan clan." When the Meng Yanshou heard what Yun Chujiu said, it was overjoyed. Immediately, it grinned happily. "Little fairy, don't worry. Although my strength has greatly decreased now, I am half a soul without a body. The demon can't do anything to me. We will definitely succeed." Yun Chujiu and the Meng Yanshou discussed for a while more. Cough cough, Yun Chujiu took the kitchen knife and killed the Meng Yanshou. To be exact, she killed Meng Yanshou's shell, the rabbit. In this way, Meng Yanshou would be able to escape from the shell. Yun Chujiu opened a tiny crack in the shell. Even though the crack was extremely small, a few sharp-mouthed bats still jumped in and were burned away by Yun Chujiu with a small flame. The man outside was stunned. "Stupid girl, you actually have 10,000-year-old fire marrow? But it doesn't matter. What's yours is mine. If we were on land, I might be afraid of your 10,000-year-old fire marrow. But in this lake, its effect is really limited. If you know what's good for you, come out and throw your life away. By the way, you haven't told me what kind of demon you are." In order to create an opportunity for Meng Yanshou, Yun Chujiu deliberately talked to the demon outside to distract him. "I'm a demon slayer," the man said arrogantly. "Samo? Isn't that a breed of dog? Why do you have a dog name?" He Xinjiu said with a smile. Of course, this guy knew that the man was talking about killing a demon, but he was just joking. How could the demon slayer know that He Xinjiu was beating around the bush? He said viciously, "Nonsense. How come I haven't heard of any demon dog with this name? If there really is a demon dog, I will kill it all." I am the embodiment of countless killing intent, and I am a noble even in the demon world. You are really impressive. You are actually competing with dogs. However, based on your words, the demon world is divided into different levels? You have almost died in the demon world, and there is no need to distinguish between nobles and commoners. He Xinjiu curled her lips and said. The demon slayer snorted. Humph. Ignorant juniors. Your so-called killing all of us in the demon world is nothing more than killing the demons who participated in the war between gods and demons. You humans have never even been to our demon world, yet you are so arrogant as to think that you can exterminate us demons? You really make people laugh. Moreover, all negative emotions in the world can be turned into demons, and demons will advance to become demons. Therefore, demons cannot be killed. Ha ha ha. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. If an ordinary person heard the demon saying this, they would probably suffer a huge shock and blow. After all, the human race generally believed that the demon had already been eliminated. Even if there were a few left, they would not be able to achieve anything. Who would have thought that there were still countless demons living in places that the human race did not know about, and that the demons would spontaneously appear? Unfortunately, He Xinjiu had never thought the same as ordinary people. This fellow said with a smile, "Is what you said true? That's great. I like killing demons the most. I was worried that there were too few demons left in this world, but I didn't expect there to be demons. If there's a chance, I'll go to your demon race and kill them to my heart's content." Ha! Killing demons. Fuck. Where did this mental illness come from? Weren't humans always timid and afraid of trouble? How could there be such a weirdo? Just as Sha Imo was thinking about it, he felt a little dazed. He immediately fell into the dream that Meng Yanshou had woven for him. What massacre! The demon world had occupied all the continents. In short, it was the scene that he wanted to see. He Xinjiu saw that Meng Yanshou was absent-minded through the gap. Her eyes deepened, and she swam toward Meng Yanshou from the turtle shell with a large kitchen knife. As for the sharp-mouthed bats, He Xinjiu only held up the spiritual energy shield on her body and did not care about them. Now was the best time to kill Meng Yanshou. She could not waste any time. Meng Yanshou was immersed in the wonderful dream when he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his spiritual sense. It turned out that the sharp-mouthed bats had awakened him. However, He Xinjiu was already in front of him, and the large kitchen knife in her hand slashed down at him. Demon Slayer tried his best to dodge, but he didn't expect the nightmare beast behind him to kick him again. It happened to be hit by He Xinjiu's slash. Demon Slayer let out a blood-curdling scream, and his body instantly turned into nothingness. This time, the nightmare beast finally believed that the kitchen knife was the Heaven Punisher divine axe. Only a divine weapon could be so powerful against a demon. It didn't expect the Heaven Punisher divine axe to turn into a kitchen knife. It was really unbelievable. Yun Chujio was afraid that cracks would appear on the large kitchen knife again. She lowered her head and saw that there was nothing unusual. Only then did she relax and put the large kitchen knife back into its sheath. The nightmare beast suddenly said, Little fairy, there's a whirlpool in the distance. It should be the exit, right? Meng Yanshou said. Yun Chujiu stretched her neck and looked. Indeed, there was a whirlpool in the distance. It didn't look particularly dangerous. It should be the exit. However, the thing the pretty boy wanted had not been found, so she could not go out for the time being. Yun Chujiu entered the turtle shell. Di Baiming said, I sense that the thing I want to take is near the whirlpool. Let's go over. Yun Chujiu circled around the whirlpool a few times, but did not find anything unusual. She could only get Di Baiming out of the turtle shell. Anyway, there was a water-repellent bead, so she was not afraid of drowning. Di Baiming had no spiritual power at the moment, so his senses were not very sensitive. After spending a long time, he pointed to a spot and said, Little Jiu, the thing should be under here. You dig it and see. He Xinjiu quickly took out her pickaxe and began to dig the hole. While digging, she claimed credit. Little beauty, you said that I am an enlightened monk and a devil killer for you. Now I have to help you dig the hole. I have worked so hard for you. Why don't you let me touch you a few more times when we get out? Di Baiming squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth. Little Jiu, I will remember your kindness. I will repay you well. Hearing Di Baiming's words, He Xinjiu said smugly, It's good that you know. It's good that you know. Don't forget it when we get out. Meng Yanshou silently lit a candle for He Xinjiu. Little fairy, if you don't do it, you won't die. Are you trying to court death? He Xinjiu dug for a long time and said in puzzlement, Little beauty, it's strange. Why can't I dig anymore? I think I've dug into the enchantment. You pierced my finger and dripped some blood on it, Di Baiming said. He Xinjiu suddenly realized. She had said that if it was simply buried under the sand, it would have been stolen long ago. This guy picked up Di Baiming's left hand and took the opportunity to touch it for dozens of times. Then, he took out a needle and pierced Di Baiming's finger and pressed it on the enchantment. In an instant, the scene in front of them changed. A jade box with an ancient aura appeared in front of them. This box is made of ancient green jade. Rich. He Xinjiu held the jade box and couldn't put it down. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched. Was he talking about this guy when he bought the casket and returned the pearl? He Xinjiu also reacted at this time. She laughed dryly and wanted to open the jade box, but it took her a long time to open it. What the hell? There was no lock at all. Why couldn't she open it? Let me do it, Di Baiming said to He Xinjiu, who was gnashing her teeth anxiously. You don't have as much strength as I do. I can't even open it, but you can. Crack. The jade box opened in Di Baiming's hand. He Xinjiu naturally forgot what she had just said. She stretched her neck and looked at the jade box. Hei Xinjiu was dazed for a moment before she burst into tears of laughter. Haha.
Haha.
Pretty boy, are you kidding me? We spent a lot of effort to find a piece of bone, and it's so small? There was only a small bone in the jade box. It looked about the size of a thumb. It was ordinary and looked no different from a bone in a mass grave. Di Biming held the bone in his hand. His heart palpitated. He frowned. He did not know what this bone meant to him, but he knew that he had to find it. Yun Chujio saw Di Biming's serious expression and restrained herself. She asked, I remember you said that you were going to find something important. Is it also a bone? Di Biming nodded. That's right. The one I found before was slightly bigger than this one. Help me keep it first. When I recover my spiritual power, you can pass it to me. Yun Chujio picked up the bone again and looked at it. She still did not find anything special, but she still carefully put it into her storage ring. Yun Chujio and Di Biming hid in the turtle shell and moved the turtle shell into the whirlpool. Just as Yun Chujio swam out of the turtle shell, she heard Buttface say excitedly, Little fairy, you're finally back. I've been soaking in the water for almost a month. The miserable Buttface remembered Di Biming's words when he left. He was afraid that a nightmare beast would attack him, so he stayed in the water for almost a month. Hei Xinjiu looked at the swollen Buttface sympathetically, and then she was a little worried. When they came, the demonic beasts didn't dare to approach them because of the gigolo. Now that the gigolo's old illness had relapsed, how could they get out? Just when Hei Xinjiu was in a dilemma, the nightmare beast in the spirit beast bag opened its mouth and said, Little fairy, you have a lot of ancient demonic beasts in your spirit beast bag. When we came out, you brought them with you. Meng Yanshou said with a smile. Hei Xinjiu was stunned. Oh no. She was too busy dealing with the monk and killing the demons when she came out and forgot to let those ancient beasts go. Did she count as abducting, selling, demon beasts? And it was an ancient rare species. You're tuning in to the Hanli's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.